Chapter 321. Dragon Seal? Little fella? Whether it was the dragon seal or the little fella, Longao could not hand them over. Otherwise, he would not have dragged it on until now. I've already said that I won't hand over the dragon seal and the little fella to you. Let me give you a piece of advice you'd better give up. Ha! Without any anger, the demon suddenly laughed. Kid, I'll let you know the consequences of being arrogant. At this moment, a terrifying aura exploded from the demon's body and directly suppressed him. However, at this moment, an even more terrifying aura appeared and directly collided with the demon's aura. Qilin. Looking at the sudden appearance of the giant fire Qilin, the demon's face instantly darkened. He never expected that a fire Qilin would suddenly appear in the dragon sect. Moreover, the aura that the fire Qilin emitted was clearly not inferior to his. The Qilin clan was comparable to the Dragon clan and was one of the strongest clans in the world. Get out of the Dragon sect. From now on, you're not allowed to take a step into the Dragon sect. Otherwise, you'll be killed without mercy. At this moment, the fire Qilin was also very nervous because it was heavily injured. Not to mention a super powerhouse like the demon, even a venerable could probably kill it. However, the fire Qilin's aura was there for all to see. It was this aura that scared off Xia Fang and Ao Tian back then. The demon's face was extremely gloomy as he took 3 steps back. If his original body was here, the demon would not be afraid of the fire Qilin at all. However, the problem now was that he did not exist in his original body. He existed in a soul state, and his strength was greatly reduced. Longao, if you don't hand over the dragon seal and the little fella, I'll instantly destroy the owner of this body. Believe it or not. Ha ha ha, demon, there's no need to threaten me here. If you dare to hurt this girl, I'll definitely kill you even if I have to run to the ends of the world. If it was an ordinary threat, the demon would not care at all. However, the fire Qilin was different. After all, the fire Qilin's strength was there for all to see. Longao, you win. However, don't be too proud. I won't stop here. I'd like to see how you'll face the rank 3 Long family later. Ha! Although the evil spirit was very afraid of the fire Qilin, it had full confidence in its speed. In the blink of an eye, the evil spirit's body had disappeared without a trace. Longao, this person is very strong. With my current strength, I am not his opponent at all. Fortunately, he is very afraid of me, so I have temporarily scared him away. Longao heaved a sigh of relief. There was no need for the fire Qilin to say anything more. He naturally knew how terrifying the strength of an evil spirit was. It was above that of a world king. Longao could also guess that the fire Qilin's strength should be on the same level as the evil demon. However, the fire Qilin was seriously injured, and its strength was not even 30% of its original strength. Regardless, the fire Qilin's aura was still quite terrifying, scaring off the evil spirit. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Longao didn't say anything. His mind was in a mess because Long Jing still hadn't been rescued. Who knew when the evil spirit would deal with Long Jing? The evil spirit's matter made Longao hesitate a lot. The dragon sect destroyed 3 sects, and the sound of thunder's sect split into 2. They each went to the Ghost King's sect and the Dragon sect. This way, there were no more 6 sects in Tianzhou. There were only 2 new overlords. One was the Dragon sect and the other was the Ghost King sect. The other 8 states didn't continue to watch the show in Tianzhou because the Imperial City had already interfered. As one of the 4 overlords of the 9 states, the 8 states naturally knew what the Imperial City's sudden appearance meant. Since the Imperial City could enter Tianzhou, then they could dominate the 8 states. As the power of the 8 states, it was obvious whether the 8 states were willing or not. From the beginning to the end, Longao was betting that the Imperial City wouldn't attack the Dragon sect. After all, the Imperial City still had 3 strong opponents. If they acted rashly, they would be restricted everywhere. Wouldn't that be very passive? The Imperial City wasn't stupid. Of course, they wouldn't do anything stupid. 1 month later. Senior, please. Fan Hong personally came to find Longao. Longao didn't delay. As a martial artist, honesty was the most important thing. This was the agreement between him and Fan Hong. No matter how the third-level dragon sect would deal with him, he would go to the third-level dragon sect. On the way. Longao, you're really good. In just 1 month, you've made the dragon sect one of the overlords of Tianzhou. Your future is limitless. Longao shrugged helplessly. He had a good impression of the celestial venerate beside him. He said, Senior, you must be joking. As everyone knows, the real overlords of the 9 states are the East Royal City, the Long family of the West, the Netherworld Mansion of the South, and the Ethereal Palace of the North. Ha ha ha, Longao, you don't have to be like this. Without waiting for Longao to speak, Fan Hong continued. Longao, your talent is the strongest I've ever seen. Even in the family, you can be ranked first. But you're too reckless. Remember, if you show off, something will happen. Longao didn't say anything. He just walked and listened. You destroyed the 3 major sects and ended the battle quickly. It's not a big deal. But the Imperial City is obviously going to enter Tianzhou. It's a bit reckless for you to choose to rise at this time. Moreover, the sect you established is called the Dragon Sect. It's a taboo for the Long family. You'll be attacked from both sides. How could Longao not know what the Sky Sovereign was talking about? Senior, a man should stand between heaven and earth. As long as he thinks it's right, he should do it. Even if it's a narrow escape, I won't regret my actions. If I win this battle, I'll have a place in Tianzhou, or even in the 9 states. If I lose, I'll just die. Hearing this, Fan Hong said with praise, You're right. But there are very few people who can do this. Longao, when you go to the family this time, remember one thing. Don't admit that you're a dragon warrior even if you're beaten to death. Someone will verify it later. I'll teach you a way. I hope you can avoid this. Feeling grateful, Longao asked, Senior, why are you helping me? You're a talent. As long as you don't die, I'm sure you'll become a great person in the future. I look forward to that day. Longao, when you go to the family this time, you just have to be careful of one person. Who? Longao was very curious. Could it be that Fan Hong really saw him as a talent and didn't want him to die? It seemed a bit far-fetched. But since things had come to this point, it was a good thing to have someone to give him pointers. Great Elder. In my Long family, the Great Elder is also known as the law-enforcing elder. He's in charge of everyone's punishment. He's a good person, but he's a bit, so you just have to be careful of him. Chapter 322. Longao nodded, remembering the Great Elder in his heart. Rank 3 Long family, one of the 4 hegemons of the 9 states. They were also known as the head of the 4 hegemons. The reason was simple. A rank 3 Long family member could enter the Dragon Valley and become a dragon warrior. Without a doubt, the rank 3 Long family had many dragon warriors. However, these dragon warriors were considered friends by the Long family. Normally, they would be kept in the family and would not be released. The 4 hegemons of the 9 states were the Imperial City in the east, the rank 3 Long family in the west, the Nether Mansion in the south, and the Ethereal Palace in the north. Longao followed Fan Hong to the west and came to a valley. The surroundings were very secluded and even the sun did not bother to appear here. One could imagine how bad the environment here was. However, the 2 of them were strong enough to ignore the surroundings. Longao asked curiously, Senior, is the rank 3 Long family here? Shaking his head, Fan Hong smiled and said, They are not here. However, our Long family and the other 3 hegemons have set up a formation that can teleport us to the 9 states spirit domain. 9 states spirit domain? Where is this place? As if he could see Longao's doubts, Fan Hong smiled and said, Let me tell you about the 9 states spirit domain and the 4 hegemons. Longao nodded his head. What Longao wanted to know the most right now was about the 4 major powers, especially about the rank 3 Long family. From what he knew, the Long family had countless branches and were divided into 9 ranks. Rank 9 was the lowest and rank 1 was the highest. Rank 3 and above Long family members could enter the Dragon Valley and become dragon warriors. Other than this, Longao knew nothing. The 9 prefectures continent is divided into 2 spaces. The lower space is the so-called ordinary spirit domain, and the upper space is known as the 9 prefectures spirit domain. The spirit energy of the 9 prefectures spirit domain far surpasses that of the ordinary spirit domain. F*** Longao, who never liked to swear, could not help but curse in his heart when he heard this. He really did not know that the 9 states continent was divided into upper and lower spirit domains. You should know about the normal spirit realm. As for the spirit realm of the 9 states, it is divided into 4 large plates, which are occupied by 4 great forces. They are the Imperial City in the east, the 3rd rank Long family in the west, the Nether Mansion in the south, and the Ethereal Palace in the north. The 4 great forces all want to destroy each other so that they can dominate the spirit realm of the 9 states. As a result, it has been 20 years since the last war. If there are no accidents, the war will start again soon. Longao wasn't surprised by this at all. Senior, since the 3rd rank Long family can dominate a quarter of the spirit domain of the 9 states, then what about the 2nd and 1st rank Long families? With a mysterious smile, Fang Hong did not mention anything about the rank 1 and rank 2 Long family. Instead, he said, "The Dragon clan is divided into 9 ranks. As a rank 6 disciple of the Long family, you do not have the qualifications to become a dragon warrior. Therefore, when you go to the family this time, you must insist that you are not a dragon warrior. Otherwise, you will be killed by the family." Longao had already thought of this. The Long clan had a rule that only rank 3 clan disciples and above were qualified to enter the Dragon Valley to obtain a partner and become a dragon warrior. Other than that, no matter what rank the Long clan disciple was, as long as he was a dragon warrior, he would be killed without mercy. Although Longao already knew this, he was still very curious. As long as the other disciples did not enter the Dragon Valley, it was fine. Why did he care how they became a dragon warrior? A dog catching a mouse is a busybody. Senior, there is one thing I don't understand. As long as the disciples of the Long family below the 4th rank do not enter the Dragon Valley, there is no problem even if they become a dragon warrior. Why is the Long family so ruthless? Longao continued to ask. The more dragon warriors there are, the better it is for the Long family. Longao could not understand. What was the benefit of the Long family killing their own disciples? Longao, I have to admit that the Long family is indeed selfish. After all, there are too many branches in the Long family. It is inevitable that there will be super geniuses in the branches, such as you and Long Batian. Once these super geniuses grow up, they will not be controlled by the Long family. If it was you, what would you do? Longao sighed deeply. Long family's actions were undeniable. In order to protect the Long family, there was nothing wrong with the actions of the Long family. However, if the Long family was more magnanimous, the overall strength of the Long family could be improved. However, it should be known that the branches of the Long clan were all over the place. Instead of making good use of such a terrifying strength, they had harmed their own clansmen. Longao was almost certain that such a clan would not continue to prosper in the future. Longao, remember this sentence. As long as you can live, then everything else is not important. Senior, you know Long Batian? Fang Hong nodded and said guiltily. It was all thanks to Senior Batian's guidance that I could become a heavenly lord. However, I did not expect that Senior would be killed by the Long family. Sigh. Longao finally understood why Fang Hong would take such good care of him. Previously, when he delayed for a month, Fang Hong agreed without hesitation. Now, it was obvious that Fang Hong was helping him. It was all because of the old ancestor, Long Batian. Longao could almost affirm that this old ancestor of his was a peerless powerhouse. You are Senior Batian's descendant. I was unable to save him back then, but I will take care of his descendants. Your talent and character are very similar to Senior Batian's. Therefore, I do not wish for you to be reckless and repeat the same mistake. Longao nodded. How could he not know about Fan Hong's worries? However, was this something he could control? Without a doubt, once he entered the third-grade Long family, no matter what happened, it was not something he could control. He could only try his best to stay alive. After all, no one was willing to throw their lives away. Longao, if Batian had not shown off his abilities back then, I believe he would have become a peerless expert by now. Sigh. Hearing Fan Hong's deep sigh, Longao did not know what to feel. No matter what, if the old ancestor had not been killed by the Long family, he believed that the family would be in a different state now. All of this was thanks to the Long family. It would be a lie to say that he did not hate the Long family. It was because of this that Longao did not want to be controlled by the Long family. Thus, he established his own power, the Dragon Sect. In the future, he would personally lead his Dragon Sect to surpass the Long family. Alright, the formation has been activated. Remember, do not tell anyone about the formation. Otherwise, you will definitely die. Understood. Longao was also shocked. He did not expect the formation to be so powerful that it could allow people to teleport. Chapter 323. The 9 continents of the Tianwu continent were divided into 2 large spaces, the normal spirit domain and the 9 continents spirit domain. The 9 continents spirit domain was divided into 4 large plates, the East Plate, the West Plate, the South Plate, and the North Plate. The 4 superpowers had their own plates, the East Imperial City in the East Plate, the Rank 3 Long family in the West Plate, the Nether Mansion in the South Plate, and the Misty Palace in the North Plate. The 4 superpowers dominated the entire 9 continents spirit domain, and no one could shake their position. Under the 4 superpowers, there were many smaller forces. However, if these small forces were placed in any of the 9 continents, they would surpass the 6 great sections. This was the terror of the 9 continents spirit domain. The Rank 3 Long family was the local tyrant of the 4 plates. If the Long family said 1, no one would dare to say 2. This was the authority of the Long family, and no one dared to provoke them. The Rank 3 Long family was located in the most luxurious area of the West Plate, occupying an area of tens of thousands of mu. Even if one walked in slowly, it would take 3 days and 3 nights. One could imagine how big the Long family was. Looking at the Rank 3 Long family in front of him, Longao was completely defeated. Long family branches. But looking at the Rank 3 Long family, just the residence alone was not something his family could compare to. This was only the Rank 3 Long family. Then what about the Rank 2 and Rank 1 Long family? Longao, do you remember what I said? Nodding, Longao replied. I remember. Follow me. Longao followed behind Fan Hong, and entered the Long family's courtyard without any obstruction. Longao was very clear that without Fan Hong's guidance, he would not have been able to enter by himself. Fan Hong was not a member of the Long family, but he married a woman of the Long family and became the son-in-law of the Long family. Moreover, he was doing well, and could be considered a small team leader of the Enforcement Celestial. The Great Hall could accommodate more than 1,000 people, and was extremely grand and luxurious. After receiving the news that Longao had entered the Long family, everyone was very curious. After all, families below rank 4 had a rule that stated that no one could become a dragon warrior. Who was it that dared to violate the rule of a Long family? Long family, main hall. There were only 2 people in the hall, sitting at the head of the table and the vice head of the table. They were the 2 people with the highest authority in the Long clan. One was the clan leader of the Long clan, Long Maoan, and the other was the law enforcement elder of the Long clan, Long Yen. Long Yen, the law enforcement elder of the Long clan, was a very sinister person. As long as a disciple of the Long clan made a mistake, no matter who it was, once they fell into Long Yen's hands, even if they did not die, they would lose a layer of fart. It was precisely because of this that everyone in the Long family was more afraid of this law enforcement elder than the patriarch. The 2 of them had just stepped into the lobby. Longao's face froze. He didn't know why, but when he stepped into the level 3 Long Clan's main hall, his whole body trembled. It was as if something was calling out to him. What a magical feeling! Longao did not dare to reveal the slightest flaw. No matter what, he had come to the rank 3 Long family this time to accept the matter of the Dragon Warrior. If the rank 3 Long family caught him, it would be much more difficult for him to return to his family. As the saying goes, a wise man knows better than to fight when the odds are against him. No matter what, this place is still a 3rd rank Long family. Patriarch, Grand Elder, Longao has arrived. And you've worked hard. Go and rest. Fang Hong was respectful, not daring to show the slightest bit of carelessness. After a sound of acknowledgement, Fang Hong slowly retreated. Outside the hall, without turning around, Fang Hong prayed in his heart. Senior, this is all I can do. Whether or not he can come out alive will depend on his luck. Inside the main hall. The entire main hall was silent. Longao did not speak. Long Maoan and Long Yen did not speak either. Both sides stared at each other, as if trying to see through each other. 3 minutes passed in the blink of an eye. Both Long Maoan and Long Yen were shocked when they realized that Longao did not move at all. Even his expression did not change. Longao, do you know your crime? I don't know. What crime have I committed? Looking at the neither servile nor overbearing youth, especially the youth's blood-red hair and 2 blood-red eyebrows, the two of them were curious. But Long Yan's face turned cold. You privately raised a giant dragon and became a dragon warrior. Do you not want to admit it? Just as expected. Just as Fang Hong had said, this rank 3 law enforcement elder of the Long family was really difficult to deal with. He had just arrived and had already gone straight to the point. Damn. Longao still had an either servile nor overbearing expression as he stood there and said indifferently, I'm not a dragon warrior and I don't have a dragon companion. Refusing to admit it was a method that Fang Hong had taught Longao. According to Fang Hong, as long as he insisted that he was not a dragon warrior, then even the Long family would not be able to do anything to him. Long family had a written rule that disciples of the Long family below rank 4 could not become a dragon warrior. Once discovered, they would be killed without mercy. But without solid evidence, even the rank 3 Long family would not dare to casually harm other disciples of the Long family. Because of this, Longao had already decided that no matter what happened, he would not admit it. In any case, Long Chang was in the dragon seal space. He did not believe that anyone could sense Long Chang's aura from his body. Not a dragon warrior? Long Yan's expression was ice cold. He did not believe it at all. He coldly said, 4 months ago, when you fought with the Blood Sea sect, countless people saw you summon a black dragon. Are you trying to deny it? Great Elder, I only want to say one thing. I'm not a dragon warrior. If I were a dragon warrior, I wouldn't be standing here waiting for death. Longao was speechless. Both of them knew that if Longao was really a dragon warrior, then why would he send himself to death when he clearly knew that there was only death for him? Unless his brain was flooded with water. Longao, since you say that you're not a dragon warrior, then do you dare to release your soul? Don't resist and let me check you. How about it? No. Without even thinking, Longao directly refused. What kind of joke was this? If he did not resist and allowed Long Yan's soul to enter his soul to search, then if Long Yan played some tricks, even if he did not die, it would be very troublesome. Most importantly, he did not believe Long Yan or anyone from the Long family. If that's the case, then you're a so-called dragon warrior, yet you're still quibbling here. Great Elder, if I told you not to resist and let me enter your soul to search, would you be willing? Of course not. Long Yan was not a fool. Although he was a supreme expert, his soul was still weak. It was better to be safe than sorry. If Long Yan had some tricks up his sleeve, then he would not even know how he died. Great Elder, if you were in my shoes, you wouldn't be willing, let alone me. I'm not stupid, and I don't want to die here for no reason. I'll say it again, I'm not a dragon warrior. It has nothing to do with me. Chapter 324. Longao's denial was something that Long Yen and Long Maoan had never expected. Longao, you don't need to quibble. Many people have seen you summon the Black Dragon. Do you really want to deny it? If you want to condemn someone, you can always find a pretext. His face was full of contempt as he mocked. Long family is divided into 9 levels. I'm only a disciple of the 6th level Long family. Since the 3rd level Long family has already taken the blame for me, does it matter if I admit it or not? Impudent! Long Yan's body suddenly erupted with a shocking aura that directly suppressed Long Ao. Kacha, Long Ao was directly suppressed to the point of kneeling. His heart was shocked. What a terrifying aura! Long Ao could almost conclude that the strength of the great elder in front of him was above that of a heavenly venerable. Could it be a great elder? World king? Or a world emperor? Long Yan also didn't expect things to develop to this point. According to his previous plan, since everyone had seen Long Ao admit it, he would directly kill him. Even if the Long family investigated, he would have an explanation. But now, Long Ao actually didn't admit it. This matter was indeed a bit tricky. If he really wronged him, it would be very troublesome. If he killed Long Ao silently, it wouldn't be a problem at all. But now, everyone knew that the 3rd level Long family had summoned Long Ao. Even if the family wanted to hide it, it was impossible. Could it be that he had to forcefully search his soul? It was better to be safe than sorry. If he couldn't find anything, wouldn't it be very embarrassing? I thought that the 3rd level Long family was a fair place. Now that we meet, it's really better to meet in person. I admire you. Hearing Long Ao's sarcastic words, Long Yan's face was gloomy to the extreme. Snorting coldly, Long Yan said angrily, "Humph, as the 3rd level Long family's law enforcement elder, I have always been impartial and never wronged a good person. You beast, you're obviously a dragon warrior. Not only do you not admit your mistake, but you refuse to admit it. It seems like you don't put my Long family in your eyes. Ha ha, is this what you call impartiality? Impartiality? What a great law enforcement elder. If you can bring out the evidence, I'll kill myself. But if you want to slander me, I'm sorry. Even if I die, I won't accept it." Long Ao was not a fool. Of course, he knew that the other party was not completely confident. Otherwise, he would have been killed the moment he entered the Long family's main hall. He would not have said so much nonsense. Long Ao was even more aware that he absolutely could not shrink back, otherwise he would die without a doubt. At this time, the hall was filled with people. Everyone wanted to see how strong a disciple from an ordinary spirit realm was. He was even a dragon martial practitioner. Long family. Although rank 3 and above disciples of the Long family could enter the Dragon Valley to obtain a dragon companion and become a dragon warrior, not everyone could become a dragon warrior. The probability was 1 in 1,000, or even 1 in 10,000. One could imagine how difficult it was to become a dragon warrior. This person is really awesome. He actually dared to talk back to the Great Elder. He really doesn't know what's good for him. You may not know, but I've already asked around. This person is called Long Ao. He originally came from a small rank 9 Long family. For some reason, he was unable to condense his inner strength at first and became a useless person. After persevering for 10 years, he finally got his reward. This person spoke very excitedly, as if he was Long Ao. 4 months ago, this person single-handedly slaughtered the entire Blood Sea sect. It's said that not only did he kill 10 venerables, he even killed 3 supremes and fought against an earth venerable. Is that true? Long Ao's deeds seemed to be very hard to believe. After all, it was too heaven-defying. It's true. In the end, Long Ao slaughtered the 5 great sections. Maybe because the slaughter was too great, he was swallowed and turned into a killing tool. In the end, he was thrown into the blood pool. If that's the case, then why is this person standing here? Who knows? I only know that this person was suddenly reborn a month later and resisted the 100 tribulations. After successfully passing the tribulation, he became a venerable void. Venerable void? Although everyone did not believe Longao's deeds, Longao's strength could not be faked. If this person was really the venerable void, then according to this child's age, with such talent, not to mention the low-level Long family, even if placed in the third-level Long family, he would still be a first-class existence. However, an identity was an identity. It was something that could not be changed. This was like two people with great differences in talent. Long family would result in a completely different result if the person with poor talent was born in a normal family. Sometimes one's birth would determine one's achievements. No matter how arrogant this person is, whether or not he is a martial artist of the dragon realm, just treating an elder like this is a crime punishable by death. Long family was divided into 9 ranks. From lowest to highest, there were rank 9 Long family, rank 8 Long family, rank 7 Long family, rank 6 Long family, rank 5 Long family, rank 4 Long family, rank 3 Long family, rank 2 Long family, and rank 1 Long family. Longao was only a rank 6 disciple of the Long family, but Long Yan was a rank 3 law-enforcing elder of the Long family. Not to mention their strength, just their status alone was not on the same level. Longao, according to the rules of the Long family, if you become a martial artist of the dragon realm without permission, you will be crippled of your cultivation and killed without mercy. Long Yan showed no mercy, as if the person in front of him was already a dead person. Originally, if you had obediently admitted to it this time around, I would have only crippled your cultivation, seeing that you're quite a character. But now, even if I can't kill you, you must cut off your own arms and cripple your cultivation. Otherwise, I will kill you without mercy. So ruthless. Longao cursed in his heart. He knew very well that Long Yan did not have any evidence to convict him. However, things had already reached this stage. If he left successfully, what would happen to Long Yan's reputation? What would happen to the Long family's reputation? Longao could imagine that if he really broke his own arms and crippled his cultivation, even if he could leave the spirit domain of the 9 states, returning to the ordinary spirit domain would be a dead end. Not to mention others, just the imperial city alone would not let him go. Strength, sect power. Longao could clearly feel that he was in a passive position today because his fist was not strong enough. His sect was not strong enough. Otherwise, would the rank 3 Long family dare to do this? Longao, even if you do not admit that you are a martial artist of the dragon realm, you established your own sect and named it the Dragon Sect. Just based on this point, I can break your arms and cripple your cultivation. Long family will not blame me if they know this. All of this is caused by your arrogance. You can't blame anyone else. If you know what's good for you, accept it obediently. Otherwise. Chapter 325. Although Long Yan did not finish his words, the meaning of his words was very clear. Break his arms and cripple his cultivation. Men! Hearing the elder's call, an ordinary disciple with a wretched appearance, a cultivator from the 100 scatter heaven, ran in and knelt on the ground. He said respectfully, Disciple Shouqing greets elder. Cripple this person's arms. Seeing that Longao did not move, Long Yan could only order his men to do it. As for him, he could not do it himself. No matter what, his status was there. Yes, elder. Shouqing's strength and talent were not bad, but he liked to bully others. He was a typical bully. If he met someone stronger than him, he would only flatter them. But if he met someone weaker than him, then sorry, he was completely unlucky. Shouqing saw that Longao did not dare to resist, so he took the initiative to volunteer. Otherwise, would he dare to do it? Just now, someone had said that Longao was a venerable. How could a mere Xiantian realm cultivator dare to break the arms of a venerable? He was simply courting death. Shouqing sneered and came to Longao's side. He looked coldly at the young man in front of him, especially that head of blood-red hair. He was inexplicably unhappy. Laughing mockingly, Shouqing said contemptuously, How dare you talk back to the elder? You're really courting death. I've never broken the arms of a venerable in my life. I wonder how it feels. Kid, have you tried it before? A dog relying on its master's power. You dare to scold me? Zhou Qing was a little confused. He really could not understand why the young man in front of him was still so arrogant. Did he really think that he was invincible? So what if I scold you? For a dog like you who relies on its master's power to bully others, living is a waste of space. I advise you to quickly go back and find a bitch. You're courting death. Zhou Qing was furious. He did not expect that in such a situation where he would definitely die, the other party still dared to insult him. Not to mention breaking the other party's arms, it would not be a problem to kill him directly. It was precisely because of this that Zhou Qing did not want to cut off the other party's arms. It was obvious that he wanted the other party's life. No matter what, Zhou Qing was still a 100 heaven martial artist. His speed was very fast, and in the blink of an eye, he had already closed the distance. At some point in time, 2 short blades had already appeared in Zhou Qing's hands. Outside the main hall, many people despised Zhou Qing. It wasn't that they had feelings for Longao, but they couldn't stand Zhou Qing's shamelessness. He bullied the weak and feared the strong. If Longao wasn't restricted by his family, not to mention one Zhou Qing, even 1,000 Zhou Qings wouldn't dare to do this. Longao did not move and allowed Zhou Qing to come to his side. Courting death. Zhou Qing was overjoyed when he saw that the other party was really not moving. He did not use his short saber. After all, with his strength, even if he used his palm instead of a saber, it would be very easy for him to kill Longao. Thump thump. Zhou Qing exerted all his strength with his palms. Just when everyone thought that Longao was definitely going to die, a scream was heard. Then, Zhou Qing's body flew backward and fell heavily to the ground. He immediately fainted. There was a burst of exclamations. No one believed that Longao actually dared to fight back under such circumstances. This was completely challenging the family's authority. If this could be tolerated, what could be tolerated? Longao, you dare to fight back? 2 disciples had already entered and carried the unconscious Zhou Qing away. From the beginning to the end, Zhou Qing did not know what had happened. Anyway, he only knew one thing, and that was that the other party's body was incomparably hard, even harder than a rock. 3rd grade Long family. This is the so-called 3rd grade Long family. Long Yan's face was gloomy to the extreme. It was as ugly as it could get because he never thought that Longao's body would be so strong. Even Bai Santian was unable to break through the other party's physical defense. Under normal circumstances, as long as a venerable was willing to turn his power into a shield, even if he stood still and allowed 100 heaven to smash and kick him, nothing would happen. However, the situation was the opposite. Of course, Long Yan could clearly sense that Longao did not use any power just now. In other words, the other party relied solely on his physical defense and forcefully withstood it. It was because of this that Long Yan could not figure out how Longao did it. After all, even a venerable could not do this. Longao, you dare to hurt my Long family's people? With a cold snort, Longao said mockingly, if you want to condemn someone, you can always find a pretext. Do you think that if I stand still and let you break my arms and cripple my cultivation, you can just let me stand still? Long Yan seemed to want to say something, but he was stopped by Long Maoan, who had been silent all this while. Long Maoan said indifferently, Longao, I've already sensed it just now. There is indeed no trace of dragon aura on your body. You're also not some dragon martial art practitioner. Hearing his master's words, Long Yan was shocked. He did not know what was wrong with his master. Why would he help this person out of nowhere? Longao, although you're not a dragon martial art practitioner, the sect you've established is called the Dragon Sect. This is obviously a provocation to the Long family. Just based on this point alone, breaking your arms and crippling your cultivation is not too much, is it? After despising him in his heart, Longao finally realized that it was almost impossible for him to leave alive after entering the level 3 Long family. This was because the Long family was obviously looking for trouble. How could they let him leave? Master, I would like to say a few words. I wonder if it's okay? Long Maoan seemed to be very surprised, but he still nodded. This was because he also wanted to hear what the other party wanted to say. Master, I've come to the level 3 Long family this time because of the dragon martial art practitioner, right? That's right. Alright, since you've already said that I'm not a dragon martial art practitioner, then I'm not guilty. Since I'm not guilty, can I leave? Longao, you don't have to explain. I'll give you a chance to convince me. Otherwise, you'll definitely die today. Alright. You said that the sect I've established is called the Dragon Sect. This is a provocation to the Long family. I'd like to ask, is there any rule in the Long family that forbids the disciples of the Long family from establishing their own sect and taking on the name Dragon Sect? Both Long Maoan and Long Yen were speechless. After all, they were already in the wrong. However, things had already come to this point. If they let Longao leave, the Long family would lose a lot of face. Because of this, Long Maoan and Long Yen had a tacit understanding. This time, regardless of the reason, they would kill Longao, a disciple of a level 6 family. They believed that even if a level 1 family found out about this, nothing would happen. This was why Long Maoan and Long Yen were fearless. If Longao's status was higher, the two of them would not dare to do this. Chapter 326. I don't accept your explanation. If Long Maoan accepted it, there would be a problem. With regards to this, Longao had already guessed it. Moreover, he already understood in his heart that this time, no matter what kind of explanation he gave, only death awaited him. Since that was the case, why would he still seek trouble for himself? Longao, you established the Dragon Sect without permission and provoked the Long family. As the leader of the rank 3 Long family, I will break your arms and cripple your cultivation. If you dare to resist, you will be killed without mercy. As he spoke, 2 heavenly venerables came in, including Fan Hong. Fan Hong's expression was ugly. Although he already knew what would happen to Longao, he couldn't bear to do it himself. He felt sorry for the tyrant body senior. Break his arms and cripple his cultivation. Then throw him out. Long Yan's voice was cold and emotionless. Everyone seemed to be used to it and didn't feel anything. Longao, I'm sorry. Longao didn't answer because he didn't know how to. No matter what, it wasn't Fan Hong's fault. After all, Fan Hong had a low status in the rank 3 Long family and had no right to speak. The powerful aura of the 2 heavenly venerables had suppressed Longao. Just as the other heavenly venerate was about to make a move, Fan Hong suddenly struck the top of the other heavenly venerate's head. Caught off guard, the heavenly venerate was killed. In an instant, Longao knew what had happened. He immediately sent the heavenly venerate's soul into the dragon seal space and turned to leave with Fan Hong. But at this time, Long Yen had already made his move. Before he arrived, a wave of airflow had already enveloped the 2 of them. Fan Hong was shocked. He knew how powerful the heavenly venerables were. Pushing Longao away, Fan Hong said, "Let's go." As he spoke, Fan Hong chose to self-destruct. If not for Long Maoan and Long Yen joining forces, the Long family's main hall would have been destroyed. This was the terrifying power of a heavenly venerate's self-destruction. Longao left the Long family's main hall successfully, but at the cost of Fan Hong's life. Outside the hall, everyone was blocking and preparing to attack. At this moment, Longao had already rushed out with the blood-sucking blade in his hand. Before he arrived, the blade light had already slashed down fiercely. They all stepped aside. Even so, Longao's slash still killed a few people. In the blink of an eye, Longao's figure had disappeared without a trace. In the lobby. Now that things had come to this, the 2 of them had ugly expressions on their faces, especially Long Yen. As the law enforcement elder of the Long family, not only did he fail to enforce the law, he even let the other party escape. If this matter were to spread out, where would his face go? What would happen to the family's reputation? Master, I'll immediately send out an announcement to hunt down this kid. Nodding his head, Dragon Insurmountable said coldly. Announce to the world that anyone who can capture this person will be handsomely rewarded. Even if there is no fire, I will still die. Got it. Someone spread the news of Longao causing trouble in the Rank 3 Long family, and it instantly spread throughout the spirit domain of the 9 states. Following that, the Rank 3 Long family announced to the world that they were going to hunt down Longao. At this point, everyone finally believed that Longao had really caused trouble in the Rank 3 Long family. Many people were unwilling to believe that this was true. No matter what, the Rank 3 Long family was one of the 4 overlords, and Longao was just a small venerable. If a venerable could casually cause trouble in an overlord, then this world was a little too crazy. The truth was right in front of everyone's eyes, and they couldn't help but believe it. As the saying goes, when there is a great reward, there will be brave men. The Long family's conditions were very good, and because of this, the entire spirit domain of the 9 states began to search for Longao's traces, wanting to obtain the great reward of the Rank 3 Long family. Spirit domain of the 9 states somewhere. Inside the dragon seal space. Long Fu, how long will it take to refine this heavenly venerate? Longao felt very guilty that Fang Hong had sacrificed himself to save him, but Longao did not act rashly. No matter what happened, the Rank 3 Long family's strength was there for all to see. It was impossible for him to shake the Rank 3 Long family with his own strength. This time, Longao planned to refine the heavenly venerate that Fang Hong had killed into a soul slave. No matter what, he was still a venerable, and there was still a big gap between him and a heavenly venerate. Once he refined it into a soul slave, he would have something to rely on to protect himself. Master, the blood pool's vitality was greatly damaged when it helped you refine a venerable soul slave, so if you want to continue refining a heavenly venerate soul slave, I estimate that it will take at least 7 days. 7 days was indeed nothing for a warrior, but for the current Longao, the longer he delayed, the more danger he would be in. Since Long Fu had said so, it seemed that refining a heavenly venerate soul slave would indeed take 7 days. After leaving the dragon seal space, Longao sat quietly on the peak of the mountain, overlooking the endless void in the distance. This time, entering the Rank 3 Long family, not only did he almost lose his life, but he also caused the death of Fan Hong. Longao would not let this matter rest. Rank 3 Long family, one day, he would trample them. Longao's complexion was very dignified. Although he had successfully escaped from the 3rd Rank Long family this time, no matter what, the 3rd Rank Long family had already issued a kill order for him. If there was no accident, the current 9 regions spirit domain had already completely moved. No matter what, the 3rd Rank Long family was still one of the 4 overlords of the 9 regions spirit domain. It would not be easy to leave the spirit domain of the 9 states. After thinking about it, Longao decided to temporarily stay in the spirit domain of the 9 states. It would not be too late to leave the spirit domain of the 9 states after the storm had passed. Kill order. The Long family had issued the most terrifying kill order in history. Moreover, they had joined forces with the other 3 major forces, the Imperial City, the Nether Mansion, and the Ethereal Palace. They swore to kill Longao even at the cost of their lives. In the spirit domain of the 9 states, the 4 overlords had been fighting openly and secretly for the position of overlord. However, after so many years, no overlord had been able to completely dominate the spirit domain of the 9 states. However, the Rank 3 Long family clearly had the intention to kill this time. They had even paid a great price to invite the other 3 major forces to issue a kill order together and seal all the arrays. Not to mention Longao, even a fly would not be able to leave the spirit domain of the 9 states and return to the ordinary spirit domain. The 4 major forces, the Eastern Imperial City, the Western Rank 3 Long family, the Southern Nether Mansion, and the Northern Ethereal Palace, had issued a kill order together. Such a thing was rarely seen in 100 years. All the forces were guessing what had happened and why the 4 major forces had issued a kill order together. In just one day, Longao had caused a ruckus in the rank 3 Long family, and the 4 major forces had issued a kill order together, swearing to kill Longao. The news had spread throughout the spirit domain of the 9 states. Everyone was guessing who Longao was and why he could do such a shocking thing. Chapter 327. The 4 great powers had jointly issued a kill order, causing everyone to be extremely curious about Longao. Because of this, in just a day, Longao's identity was completely dug out. Longao, a disciple of the 9th level Long family in Scarlet Fire Town. He was known as the number 1 genius in Scarlet Fire Town. For some reason, when Longao tried to break through to the 7th level of inner strength, he suddenly failed and fell from a genius to a trash. For 10 years, Longao endured all kinds of humiliation and mockery, but he still persevered. For 10 years, no one knew what kind of fortuitous encounter, but Longao rose up. In just a few months, his name spread from Scarlet Fire Town to 9 states, and he established his own force, Dragon Sect. Dragon Sect? Everyone knew that Longao's force was called Dragon Sect. Everyone thought that Longao was deliberately provoking the Long family. Long family, the strongest existence in the Sky Martial continent. For countless years, there had never been a force that dared to use the word Long. Regarding Longao, many people were full of expectations. After all, Longao was full of mystery and counterattacks. He had succeeded in counterattacking all the way. If he also succeeded in counterattacking this time, then it would definitely be a matter that would shake the continent. Thinking about it was just thinking, but everyone knew what it meant for the 4 forces to work together. The 4 forces of the spirit domain of the 9 states, the Imperial City in the east, the 3rd level Long family in the west, the Nether Mansion in the south, and the Ethereal Palace in the north, issued a kill order together. Instantly, all the arrays were closed. This time, if the 3rd level Longao issued a kill order for other things, the other 3 forces would not agree. It was already good enough that they did not come to cause trouble. How could they work together with the 3rd level Long family to issue a kill order? But the situation now was completely different. The 3rd level Long family used the whole Long family, saying that Longao was provoking the whole Long family. The other 3 forces could ignore the 3rd level Long family, but would they dare to ignore the Long family? The Imperial City, Nether Mansion, and Ethereal Palace did not dare to offend the Long family. Because of this, the 3 forces did not hesitate and issued a kill order. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. Originally, the 4 superpowers had thought that they would be able to deal with Longao in just a few hours. However, 3 days had already passed, and they still hadn't found Longao. This caused the 4 superpowers to feel extremely depressed. They didn't know where Longao was hiding. 3rd level Long family, main hall. Elder, have you found Longao's whereabouts yet? No, Master, we have joined forces with the other 3 forces to issue a kill order. All the arrays have been closed. Longao can't leave the 9 regions spirit domain, so I dare to say that Longao is still in the 9 regions spirit domain. He is just hiding temporarily. Long Mao nodded. Of course, he knew that Longao would not be able to leave the spirit realm of the 9 states. The 4 great forces had issued a kill order and sealed off all the formations. Unless Longao could fly, there was no way he could leave the spirit realm of the 9 states. Elder, dispatch all of the law enforcement heavenly exalts. Furthermore, gather the law enforcement heavenly exalts from the other 3 major powers. I refuse to believe that we won't be able to find this person. Master, are the other 3 major powers willing to do so? Don't worry. As long as the Long family keeps the Long family in check, the other 3 major powers won't dare to go against the Long family's decision. Long Yen nodded and left. In the next hour, all 4 major powers were mobilized. All the law enforcement heavenly exalts were split into 4 groups. They searched the 4 cardinal directions in the north, south, east, and west. The law enforcement heavenly exalts were the most terrifying existences among the 4 major powers. The four major powers controlled the nine states' spirit domain. It was inevitable that there would be people or forces that disobeyed them. It was because of this that the four major powers formed their own law enforcement teams. All of them were represented by heavenly exalts. Each force's law enforcement team had 20 heavenly exalts. In other words, the four major powers had a total of 80 law enforcement heavenly exalts. What kind of concept was that? In other words, all the law enforcement heavenly exalts of the four major powers added up to 80 heavenly exalts of the void. Was such a powerful force mobilized just to find one person? Everyone was looking forward to it. 3 days had passed, but Longao was still nowhere to be found. Otherwise, the four major powers wouldn't have mobilized all of their law enforcement heavenly exalts. No matter what Longao was like in the past, just this point alone was enough to make people admire him. Time passed bit by bit. 7 days passed quietly. After 7 days of not being able to find Longao, the other three major forces had already chosen to give up. According to the guesses of the three major forces, Longao had already left the 9 regions spirit domain. Continuing to search like this was futile. The three major powers chose to give up, but the third-grade Long family didn't. They continued to search for Longao's whereabouts. They almost searched the entire 9 states spirit domain, but still found nothing. Could Longao have really left the 9 states spirit domain? Of course, Longao hadn't left. Instead, he was training, hoping that his cultivation could break through to the supremacy realm as soon as possible. The biggest difference between the Void Exalts and the Void Exalts was the golden core of the Void Exalts. It was very simple. If the Void Exalts wanted to break through to the Void Exalts, they first had to condense all of the spiritual energy in their body and form the golden core. It seemed simple, but it was actually very difficult. Countless people were stuck at this stage, unable to become a supremacy for the rest of their lives. Longao only had one thing to do now, and that was to condense the spiritual energy in his body and form the golden core. The eastern plate of the 9 states spirit domain. The largest spirit beast mountain range. Different regions of the spirit domain made the strength of the spirit beasts different. Longao entered the spirit beast mountain range and could casually encounter evolved spirit beasts. He even encountered spirit beasts of the Void Exalts, and they were all extremely powerful. There were even a few times when Longao was almost killed. Towering trees covered the sky and the sun. The entire spirit beast mountain range was retro. Longao sat cross-legged and quietly absorbed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth around him. He forcibly condensed the spiritual energy in his body and prepared to form the golden core. It seemed like a very simple step, but it was extremely difficult to do. Since entering the Spirit Beast mountain range, an entire month had passed unknowingly. After a month of condensing the spiritual energy, Longao didn't know when he could successfully form the golden core and break through to the Void Exalts. At the top of a canyon, looking at the fog below, Long Chang couldn't see the end of it. He didn't know why, but as soon as he arrived here, he kept calling out to him, wanting to go down and take a look. If he were a celestial lord, it would be fine. However, he was just a venerable and couldn't travel in the void. Once he jumped down, only death would await him. There was no other way. Longao knew that since Long Chang insisted on going down, he had to go down even if he died. At this time, Long Chang's huge body appeared. Longao smiled helplessly and jumped onto Long Chang's body. He patted Long Chang's head. Then, the man and dragon shot down to the bottom of the canyon. This was the first time Longao rode Long Chang. The feeling was quite different, as if he was riding the clouds. Chapter 328. At the bottom of the canyon, white mist lingered around, making it impossible to see anything in the distance. Just as they reached the ground, Long Chang was somewhat impatient. Longao was startled. He grabbed Long Chang and said, "Leave it to me. Be good. Who knows where this place is? What if they encounter danger?" Forcefully suppressing Long Chang, Longao followed Long Chang's instructions and walked forward. After walking for an unknown amount of time, he arrived in front of a stone wall that was as smooth as water. Eh? At this time, Longao discovered that in front of him on his left, there was a winding and wide passage. It was 5 meters high and 4 meters wide. He couldn't see the end of it at a glance. He didn't know what was in the passage. Entering the passage, Longao shrugged helplessly. He had no idea what Long Chang wanted to do. He could only carefully step into the passage and slowly walk toward it. 1 step, 2 steps, Longao was especially careful with every step. Because it was too dark, Longao couldn't see the situation in front of him. He could only rely on his warrior's senses to walk slowly. Light! Suddenly happy, Longao quickened his steps and walked toward the place where the light was coming from. Soon, he arrived at the side of the passage. Before Longao could enter, he was already enveloped by 2 terrifying forces. If he didn't stop in time, just these 2 terrifying forces alone would be enough to crush him into a meat patty. Ha ha! Sword Dragon is only SOSO. Today, I want to see how you can escape from my palm. 5-clawed golden dragon, you're only SOSO. Don't think that you're invincible. Let me tell you clearly, even if I die, I'll drag you down with me. At the end of the passage was an incomparably huge cave. The entire cave was over 20 meters wide and was filled with huge rocks. However, Longao couldn't care about anything else at this moment. Because in the cave, 2 huge creatures were eyeing him covetously. It seemed that he would be caught in the crossfire at any time. Giant dragon? That's right, there were indeed 2 genuine dragons in the cave. 5-clawed golden dragon, sword dragon. Longao had a rough understanding of the dragon species. Whether it was the 5-clawed golden dragon or the sword dragon, they were both incomparably powerful existences. Longao had never thought that he would meet 2 huge dragons here, let alone a 5-clawed golden dragon and a sword dragon. Longao was very curious. He didn't know why Long Chang had led him here. No matter what, the 2 dragons had already spoken. Just based on this, Longao had already guessed that regardless of whether it was the 5-clawed golden dragon or the sword dragon, their strength should not be too low. Longao had already noticed that the sword dragon not far away was clearly heavily injured. It was riddled with wounds and its body was on the verge of collapse, as if it could collapse at any moment. Seeing this situation, the 5-clawed golden dragon was obviously very happy and excited to the extreme. After so many years of continuous fighting, he had finally defeated the sword dragon. He was only 1 step away from successfully absorbing the sword dragon's blood and forcefully breaking through his current realm. The sword dragon's entire body was covered with thick dragon scales that were arranged in an orderly manner. Moreover, on each of the huge dragon scales, there was a sharp spike. It looked extremely terrifying, causing one's scalp to tingle. A pair of huge eyes stared fixedly at the 5-clawed golden dragon in front of him. The sword dragon was very unwilling in his heart. He was only 1 step away from officially advancing. Killing the 5-clawed golden dragon was simply a matter of minutes. But now, he was only 1 step away, but he failed. Not only did he not successfully advance, he was also heavily injured by the 5-clawed golden dragon. Now, his life was in danger. The 5-clawed golden dragon was born with 5 claws. Its attack power was extremely strong. Among the many dragon species, it was a super species that was ranked at the top. The sword dragon was covered with spikes. Its attack power was also extremely strong. Among the many dragon species, it was also ranked at the top. Sword dragon, as long as you submit to me, I can spare your dog life. How about it? Bah, who do you think you are? The 5-clawed golden dragon is born to be shameless. What else can you do besides sneak attacking people from behind? It's simply a disgrace to the dragon race to have a member like you. The 5-clawed golden dragon and the sword dragon were tit for tat. A battle could break out at any time. Longao did not leave. Instead, he carefully squatted down. Now that the sword dragon and the 5-clawed golden dragon were about to fight, once both sides were injured, he would be able to reap the benefits. Whether it was the five-clawed golden dragon or the sword dragon, both of them were incomparably powerful existences. If he could obtain both of them, wouldn't it be perfect? Five-clawed golden dragon, if you have the ability, wait until I recover from my injuries. As long as you can defeat me, I will choose to submit to you. Do you dare to accept the challenge? Idiot. Of course, the five-clawed golden dragon did not dare to accept the challenge. If he did not choose to sneak attack this time, he would not have been able to injure the sword dragon. It was not about who was stronger between the five-clawed golden dragon and the sword dragon. It was just that the five-clawed golden dragon and the sword dragon had fought for so many years without a clear winner, but the sword dragon was preparing to break through at this time. The five-clawed golden dragon was not a fool. If the sword dragon officially broke through at this time, then it would be easy to kill him. It was precisely because of this that the five-clawed golden dragon did not care about his face and chose to sneak attack. Looking at the five-clawed golden dragon in front of him, the sword dragon was extremely angry. He was only one step away from officially advancing, but all of this was destroyed by the five-clawed golden dragon. He was very angry in his heart, but what could he do? At the edge of the passage, the battle between the five-clawed golden dragon and the sword dragon, Longao was filled with anticipation and excitement. After all, once the two dragons started fighting and both sides were injured, it would only be beneficial to him and not the slightest bit of harm. An angry roar? In the end, the five-clawed golden dragon could not help but take the initiative to attack because he knew that the sword dragon was only injured by his sneak attack. Once it recovered, who knew if it would break through? The five-clawed golden dragon's entire body was like a meteor as it directly arrived in front of the sword dragon. Without giving the sword dragon the slightest chance to react, it directly pounced on it. The sword dragon saw that the five-clawed golden dragon had already attacked, but it did not feel the slightest bit of fear. Its entire body slammed into the ground, creating a huge crater. Just when the five-clawed golden dragon and Longao did not know what the sword dragon wanted to do, the sword dragon used the force of the crater to fiercely collide with the five-clawed golden dragon. The two dragons fiercely collided. The force was too great, and their entire bodies were fiercely bounced back. However, the two dragons obviously did not want to stop at all. They turned around and continued to fiercely collide. This was the most violent and direct way of fighting. In a short while, the entire cave was full of holes. The scene was extremely shocking. Chapter 329. How terrifying! Longao fiercely swallowed his own throat. It could be said that Longao had truly witnessed a great battle between true experts. It was terrifying to describe it in one word. Stegosaurus suddenly turned around and stared coldly at the five-clawed golden dragon in front of him. He sneered and said, "Five-clawed golden dragon, do you really think you can defeat me? Ha ha, Stegosaurus, are you afraid?" The five-clawed golden dragon laughed complacently. But Stegosaurus's face was full of contempt and ridicule. If it wasn't for the sneak attack of the five-clawed golden dragon, how could the five-clawed golden dragon defeat him? How could the five-clawed golden dragon be his opponent? At this time, Stegosaurus's entire body soared into the sky. Then, with his back facing down, he ruthlessly smashed the five-clawed golden dragon. Stegosaurus's intention was very simple. He wanted to use the spikes on his body to deal with the five-clawed golden dragon. How could the five-clawed golden dragon not know this? So, the five-clawed golden dragon didn't choose to meet force with force. Stegosaurus's state of mind had changed after being sneak attacked. The five-clawed golden dragon didn't blindly dodge because he knew very well that dodging wouldn't be able to end the battle. Slap! The five-clawed golden dragon's terrifying dragon tail ruthlessly swept up. It drew a strange arc and hit Stegosaurus's chest at an incredible angle. The five-clawed golden dragon was overjoyed. Without any hesitation, he began to use his dragon tail to fiercely whip Stegosaurus. However, it was impossible for Stegosaurus to stand still and let him be whipped. It was simply unrealistic. Stegosaurus was seriously injured. He knew that he couldn't hold on for too long. So, with the help of his powerful body, he chose to meet force with force with force. The two dragons belonged to the aggressive dragon race. So, the battle was particularly wild. It was either you die or I die. In the end, the five-clawed golden dragon's skill was better. In any case, Stegosaurus was injured. Such a wild battle would definitely worsen Stegosaurus's injuries. The five-clawed golden dragon knew this. Stegosaurus also knew this. Even Longao was very clear. Stegosaurus couldn't afford to delay, but the five-clawed golden dragon deliberately delayed. Stegosaurus, aren't you very arrogant? Ha ha ha, I'm finally going to defeat you. The five-clawed golden dragon was confident that he could defeat the sword dragon. Furious dragon roars resounded throughout the cave. The sword dragon's heart was filled with unwillingness. It was only one step away, but it was this step that it could not take. Stegosaurus, are you very angry? Five-clawed golden dragon, you are truly a disgrace to my dragon clan. I feel sad for you. Ha ha ha, the winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. I'll kill you today and I'll set the rules. What a pity, you won't be able to see it. The two dragons collided violently. The Stegosaurus gradually felt that it could collapse at any moment, but its unwillingness and anger made it persevere, unwilling to compromise. Seeing the two dragons fighting, Longao was very curious. Why did Long Chong keep coming to this place? Could it be that it was to watch the battle between the five-clawed dragon and the sword dragon? It didn't seem possible. How could the little guy have two dragons appear here? After thinking about it, Longao still couldn't figure out the reason. He could only communicate with the spirit stone and ask directly. After a while, Longao didn't know whether to laugh or feel helpless. According to Long Chong, there was a treasure here that was very important to Long Chong. It was precisely because of this that Longao felt incomparably helpless. No matter what, there were two dragons here. Fortunately, it was a battle and he still had a chance to seize the treasure. What if the two dragons weren't fighting? Things had already reached this point. Longao didn't choose to leave. Just now, the little guy had said that this treasure was very important to him. Since that was the case, he had to help the little guy obtain this treasure even if he had to risk his life. Five-clawed golden dragon, I'll let you have a taste of my sword dragon's strongest attack. As if he had guessed something, the five-clawed golden dragon's face suddenly changed. There was even panic as he roared. Sword dragon, damn it, are you crazy? Hurry up and stop. Everything can be discussed. There's no need to make both sides suffer. Ah! With a painful roar, countless spikes on the sword dragon's body began to slowly pull out. Seeing this situation, Longao didn't know what the sword dragon wanted to do, but the five-clawed golden dragon knew. Despair was written all over his face, because he knew what the Stegosaurus' most powerful move represented. Both sides would suffer. According to the rules of the Stegosaurus race, unless it was absolutely necessary, they absolutely could not use this move that would cause both sides to suffer. The sword dragon's strongest move was actually very simple. It was to use all the spikes on its body to shoot out fiercely. It was like rain, there was nowhere to hide. The five-clawed golden dragon clearly knew the power of this move. The sword dragon's body constantly trembled. The countless spikes on its back all flew up like lightning and scattered in all directions. Its speed was so fast that it didn't give the five-clawed golden dragon any chance to react. Ah! Sword dragon, even if I die, I won't let you go. Victory was clearly in front of him, but because the sword dragon chose to suffer, he lost his life. The five-clawed golden dragon never expected such a result. Of course, the five-clawed golden dragon wouldn't let it go for nothing. If he was killed and the sword dragon survived, even if he died, he wouldn't be able to rest in peace. It was precisely because of this that the five-clawed golden dragon was prepared to self-destruct. Master, hurry up and stop the five-clawed golden dragon from self-destructing. Otherwise it will be useless. Longao, who was originally prepared to watch the battle from the sidelines, suddenly heard Long Fu's voice. He was very surprised and didn't know what Long Fu meant. What kind of joke was this? He wanted him to stop the five-clawed golden dragon from self-destructing? Could he do it with his own strength? Although he was very confident in his own strength, Longao still had self-awareness. With his current strength, he couldn't even withstand a single attack from the two giant dragons. Longao didn't want to die in vain. Master, if the three of you can devour the blood and soul of the two dragons, not only will it be of great help to your strength, it will also be beneficial to your soul and physique. You can't miss this opportunity. Master, hurry up and stop the five-clawed golden dragon from self-destructing. Long Fu, I believe you know better than me how strong the five-clawed golden dragon is. I don't want to die in vain. Master, with the help of the dragon seal's power, you should be able to kill it in one strike. Since things had already reached this point, if Longao continued to hesitate and waited for the five-clawed golden dragon to self-destruct and disappear with the sword dragon, then the opportunity would really be gone. At that time, it would be too late to regret it. Thinking of this, a small black seal suddenly appeared in Longao's hand and he directly rushed forward. Chapter 330. What's that? The five-clawed golden dragon, who was about to self-destruct, suddenly saw a small black shadow smashing towards him. At first, he didn't notice it, but when the small black seal smashed into his body, he grimaced in pain. Human, F***ck your grandfather. Actually, from the beginning, the two huge dragons had already noticed Longao. However, Longao was too weak and couldn't enter the eyes of the two huge dragons. But it was because of this that Longao had a chance. One hit for sure. Although he was extremely excited, Longao suppressed his excitement and said embarrassedly, I'm sorry I accidentally hit you. How do you feel? The five-clawed golden dragon, who was already incomparably furious, became even more furious when he heard this. He almost fainted. I can't accept this. I can't accept this. Angry roars resounded throughout the cave. After being attacked by the small black seal and the spikes, the five-clawed golden dragon could no longer resist. He didn't even have the chance to self-destruct. His huge body fiercely fell to the ground. One could even feel the entire cave trembling. Seeing the five-clawed golden dragon's body fall, the sword dragon couldn't hold on any longer, and also fell. Both sides suffered? Looking at the two huge dragons that fell to the ground, Longao couldn't react for a moment. Happiness seemed to have come too quickly. Two incomparably powerful huge dragons. Not to mention other things, just the two souls were enough to refine a powerful soul's slave. Master, the dragon seal space needs the souls of the two huge dragons. Hearing this, Longao's face turned ugly. This Long Fu, he had just tricked him into smashing the five-clawed golden dragon. He risked his life and smashed the five-clawed golden dragon to death with great difficulty. Now, the two souls were directly returned to the dragon seal space. Master, the strength of the two huge dragons has already surpassed the nothingness realm. With the current situation of the blood pool, it's impossible to refine such powerful souls. Therefore, I'm preparing to restore the dragon seal space. So that's how it is. A super-existence above the nothingness realm. Longao found it hard to imagine. If he could refine the souls of the two huge dragons into soul slaves, wouldn't he be able to sweep through the 9 provinces and even dominate the 9 provinces' spirit domain? However, the problem now was that the blood pool in the dragon seal space had yet to recover. It was simply impossible to refine such a powerful soul. It was truly a pity. However, Longao felt relieved after thinking about it. If the blood pool in the dragon seal space could be restored, then in the future, when he obtained a powerful soul, he could refine it into a soul slave. Otherwise, the blood pool wouldn't work. No matter how powerful the soul one obtained, it would just be nonsense. Master, hurry up and absorb the blood of the two dragons. I'll help you stabilize your bodies. Nodding, Zhang Xian released the two little fellows. Without any hesitation, the human, the dragon, and the tiger began devouring the blood of the two dragons. After finding a bloody wound, Longao sucked on it and gnashed his teeth madly. After all, the dragon's body was too big. If he didn't use force, he wouldn't be able to absorb any blood. Longao gulped down the blood of the two dragons. The dragon blood flowed down his throat and spread throughout his body. At this moment, Longao felt as if his skin was about to explode. The pain was unbearable. After absorbing for an unknown amount of time, Longao's entire body began to tremble. Pain, incomparably intense pain. Longao never thought that absorbing the dragon's blood would bring him such intense pain. However, Longao didn't choose to give up. As the saying goes, only through suffering can one rise above others. As long as he could persevere, he believed that it would be of great benefit to him. The pain of the dragon's blood being poured on the body was not something that a human could bear. After all, the difference between the physique of a dragon and a human was too great. The fact that a dragon could bear it didn't mean that a human could also bear it. With Longao's current desolate tyrant body, he couldn't bear this pain. One could imagine that if an ordinary person were to swallow the blood, wouldn't their body immediately explode from the dragon's blood? He had to admit that the desolate tyrant body was the #1 physique in the world. After a short period of pain, Longao found that he couldn't feel any pain. Instead, he felt very comfortable. He was overjoyed. Longao knew very well that after a short period of inhuman pain, he had already ushered in the benefits. According to Long Fu's guidance, Longao immediately circulated the 9 revolutions reincarnation technique. Ever since he had obtained this supreme technique, Longao was so depressed that he was afraid. After such a long time, even though his cultivation had broken through to the venerable realm, he was still unable to officially break through the second cycle of the 9 revolutions reincarnation technique. The combination of the desolate tyrant body and the 9 revolutions reincarnation technique was simply flawless. At this time, all the dragon's blood that he had swallowed in his body slowly flowed along the airflow and into all parts of his body. Master, I'm now using the blood of 2 dragons to help you perfect the desolate tyrant body. Remember, no matter what happens, don't try to resist. Otherwise, you'll be in great trouble. I understand. Longao trusted Long Fu very much. He wouldn't believe that Long Fu would harm him even if he was beaten to death. It was precisely because of this that Longao handed him over without any scruples. If it were anyone else, would Longao do this? Time passed by bit. Other than the sound of heavy breathing in the cave, only 2 huge dragon corpses could be seen lying quietly on the ground. On the other side, Longao, Long Chang, and Long Fu were all perfecting their respective physiques with the help of Long Fu. Long Chang, tell me, where is the treasure you need? It was only at this moment that Longao remembered that he had entered the cave this time because of Long Chang's summons. It was said that there was a treasure. Longao was looking forward to this treasure. After all, if it could make Long Chang so wild, one could imagine the value of the treasure. Following Long Chang's guidance, Longao came to a stone wall and knocked on it. Sure enough, it was hollow inside. Out of curiosity, he smashed the stone wall open and a huge secret compartment appeared. Inside the secret compartment, there was a small brocade box. Longao seemed to be a little impatient. However, just as Longao was about to open it, he was stopped by Long Chang. Little guy, what's wrong? There's a mechanism? Seeing Long Chang nodding, Longao was a little scared. Fortunately, Long Chang reminded him. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable if he opened it. A terrifying power erupted from Long Chang's body and directly enveloped the small brocade box. After a full hour of fusion, Long Chang indicated that the small brocade box could be opened. Nodding, Longao naturally chose to believe in Long Chang. He gently opened the small brocade box. There was only a small golden bead inside. It was particularly dazzling. Moreover, the small bead emitted a faintly discernible power. It didn't seem simple, but it was actually abnormally terrifying. Longao was very shocked. He didn't know what this golden bead was. After all, Long Chang wanted this bead so much. It was obvious that it wasn't something ordinary. Chapter 331. Long Chang, what is this? Hearing the news from Long Chang, Longao stood there in a daze, staring at the small pearl in his hand. Dragon God Pearl? Although he didn't know about the Dragon Clan, Longao still knew the basic things. The Dragon God Pearl was the most precious treasure of every generation of the Dragon Clan. Only the Dragon God could possess it. In other words, even if other dragons obtained the Dragon God Pearl, they wouldn't be able to activate it. In that case, what was the use of Long Chang obtaining the Dragon God Pearl? Master, this little guy is a mutant divine dragon. He can activate the Dragon God Pearl. It's just that he can't activate it with his current strength. Hearing this, Longao was overjoyed. Long Fu, according to what you said, once the little guy activates the Dragon God Pearl, will he have a chance to become a dragon god in the future? The Dragon God was the most powerful existence in the Dragon Clan. However, many years ago, after the fall of the first Dragon God, the whereabouts of the Dragon God Pearl were unknown. Since then, there had been no new Dragon God in the Dragon Clan. As the most powerful existence in the world, the Dragon Clan was very few in number. Otherwise, the world would not be dominated by humans. It would be the Dragon Clan that dominated everything. Longao never thought that he would get the Dragon God Pearl in this place. In any case, it was a good thing to get the Dragon God Pearl. At least in the future, the little guy would have a chance to become a dragon god and control the Dragon Clan. It would be a great help to him. Longao thought in his heart that if the little guy really became the dragon god that the Dragon Clan trusted, he would lead the Dragon Clan to completely break away from the Long family. When the time came, he would enter the Dragon Sect. There was no doubt that the Dragon Sect would replace the Long family and become the new overlord of the continent in the future. Just thinking about it made him extremely excited. Long Chang, here you go. Longao didn't keep the Dragon God Pearl. In any case, the Dragon God Pearl was of no use to him. If the little guy could activate the Dragon God Pearl one day, then it would be the time for the little guy to truly rise. Master, you have already devoured the blood of 2 dragons. I have helped you completely stabilize the desolate sacred body, but I found a problem. What is it? Hearing Long Fu's words, Longao was shocked. Could it be that something had happened to his desolate body? Longao had always had a love-hate relationship with his sacred desolation body. Back then, if it weren't for the desolate sacred physique, he wouldn't have fallen from a genius to a trash. However, ever since he had obtained the Dragon Seal space, the desolate sacred physique had turned from the number 1 trash to the number 1 cultivation physique. Because of this, nothing must happen to the sacred desolation physique. Master, you don't have to worry. The sacred desolation physique is fine. When I helped you stabilize the desolation physique just now, I discovered that the sacred desolation physique can actually be upgraded. What do you mean? Longao was very curious. He didn't know what Long Fu meant. Master, your desolate physique has already mutated. It's no longer a single desolate physique. As your strength continues to increase and your strength continues to strengthen, I believe that your desolate physique will continue to level up. When it solidifies to its peak state, I believe that just relying on the desolate physique alone will be enough to break through the heavens and move the universe. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't excited. Long Fu, what do I need to do? Master, you don't need to do anything. You just need to cultivate well and increase your strength as soon as possible. If you encounter a power that's suitable for the desolate physique, I'll help you stabilize it. Nodding his head, with Long Fu, he didn't need to worry about anything. Looking at the 2 giant dragon corpses on the ground, Longao was really reluctant to part with them. No matter what, the 2 giant dragons were super existences that were above the nothingness realm. If he were to sell them, he believed that he would be able to sell them for an astronomical figure. However, Longao knew even more clearly that once the corpses of the five-clawed golden dragon and the sword dragon were exposed, it would definitely cause a great deal of trouble. At that time, there would be no lack of suffering and bloodshed. One had to know that the five-clawed golden dragon and the sword dragon were two of the strongest races of the dragon clan. Moreover, the two giant dragons on the ground were super existences that were above the nothingness realm. If the dragon clan found out about the loss of such experts, it was easy to imagine what kind of trouble it would cause. After thinking about it, Longao decided to take the two giant dragon corpses away, even if the dragon clan found out about it in the future. Since he wasn't going to sell them, he believed that no one would know about it if he left them in his family, let alone the dragon clan. He placed the two giant dragon corpses into the dragon seal space. After all, if he carried the two giant dragon corpses out, it would probably scare everyone. This time, being hunted down by the rank 3 dragon clan could be considered a blessing in disguise. Not only did he successfully condense the desolate physique, but he also obtained the divine dragon pearl. Once Long Chang opened the divine dragon pearl, it wouldn't be impossible for him to become a dragon god in the future. Longao was in a good mood and wasn't in a hurry to leave. Since he was already here, he might as well stay and cultivate. He wanted to see if he could condense his spiritual source and form a golden core. Although it seemed easy for the Void Sovereign to break through to the Void Sovereign level, it was actually very difficult. He only needed to take one step to enter the ranks of sovereigns. However, it was this simple step that was incomparably difficult. Sitting quietly in the cave, Longao guarded his origin and crazily absorbed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth around him. However, what made Longao feel very helpless was that no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't condense his spiritual source, let alone form a golden core. Longao sighed deeply. He had a feeling that he had already touched the threshold of sovereign level, but he couldn't take that step. It was too difficult. It was like a person who had been hungry for 3 days and 3 nights and saw 100 steamed buns in front of him. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't touch the buns. One could imagine how this person would feel. Long Fu, why do you think I'm still unable to condense my spiritual source and form a golden core even though I've already touched the threshold of sovereign level? Longao looked depressed. After all, no matter who encountered this kind of situation, they would be the same. Long Fu thought for a moment and said, Master, it should be because your desolate sacred body needs more power to upgrade. So, according to my guess, if you want to break through to the Void Sovereign level and form a golden core, you first need to devour a lot of power. The power needed to upgrade the desolate sacred body also needs to increase. Hearing this, Longao almost fell because the desolate sacred body itself needed a lot of power. If it continued to upgrade, when would he be able to break through to the Void Sovereign level? Longao was extremely depressed. It turned out that there were advantages and disadvantages to condensing the desolate tyrant body. The advantage was that the desolate tyrant body was comparable to the body of a giant dragon. The disadvantage was that it needed more power. He shrugged helplessly. Since he had already condensed the desolate tyrant body, it was useless to complain. It seemed that he still needed to absorb more power. P.S. End of 10 chapters. Look at the time, it's 9:30. Hurry up and eat and go to sleep. Staying up late is really not for humans. Everyone, seeing that Xiao Jiao is working so hard, vote more monthly and tip him. Chapter 332. 2 months passed in the blink of an eye. The third-rank Long family still couldn't find Longao. Even the other 3 factions couldn't find him. Where did Longao go? Did Longao really leave the 9 states spirit realm? The third-rank Long family knew that once Longao left the 9 states spirit realm and Longao gave up on his family, it would be too difficult to find him in a sea of people. The news of Longao causing a ruckus in the third-rank Long family had spread throughout the 9 states spirit realm. If they couldn't find him, the third-rank Long family would lose everything. In the main hall of the third-rank Long family, Master, we still can't find Longao. If there are no accidents, Longao should have left the Nine States spirit realm. The only thing I'm worried about now is that Longao has given up on his family. If that's the case, it'll be much more difficult to find him. Nodding, Long Mao's face was extremely gloomy. Elder, we must settle Longao's matter as soon as possible. Otherwise, the Nine States spirit realm will laugh at us. Master, what do you mean? Take the enforcement heavenly masters to the ordinary spirit realm. No matter what, you must bring Longao's family to me. I don't believe that he will abandon his family. Master, there's something I don't know if I should say. Say it. In the entire third-rank Long family, only Long Yen dared to speak to the master like this. After all, the two of them were the strongest in the Long family. Long Maon was number 1, and Long Yen was number 2. Master, if the world knows that we kidnapped Longao's family to threaten him, it will affect our family. Waving his hand, Long Maon sneered. No matter what happens, I want Longao dead. Long Yen sighed deeply. He knew that the master's personality was like this. As long as the sect's interests were harmed, he would do anything. In the end, Long Yen had no choice but to bring the 10 heavenly venerables to the ordinary spirit domain. Longao was afraid of implicating his family, so he hid the matter of Longao Mountain. Therefore, it was not easy for Long Yen to find the whereabouts of the Longao family. The rank 3 Long family sent experts to the normal spirit domain while spreading the news that they were going to the normal spirit domain to find the Longao family, the largest spirit beast mountain range in the Imperial City. Longao had been cultivating for nearly 2 months, but his cultivation was still unable to truly break through to the void supremacy level. He was only 1 step away, and it was like the difference between heaven and earth. Longao had a feeling that he was just a hair's breadth away from void supremacy. It seemed like he had already crossed the threshold of void supremacy. However, it was this hair's breadth that he was unable to cross. The difference in strength between honorable void and honorable void was huge, especially under such circumstances. What was the problem? After thinking about it, Longao still could not figure out what was wrong. During this period, he had absorbed part of the 5-clawed golden dragon's power. According to Long Fu, with this power, his cultivation should be able to break through. However, what was the result? Long Fu did not know what was going on. Longao had no choice. It seemed that he could only rely on luck. At this time, Longao inadvertently heard a piece of news. It was about the rank 3 Long family and his family. Just as he received the news, Longao's expression changed drastically. His face darkened as he said, "Rank 3 Long family, you asked for it." Family had always been Longao's weakness. No matter who it was, if they wanted to touch the Long family, they would have to ask if he agreed. Longao left the Spirit Beast mountain range. The spirit domain of the 9 states was divided into 4 major plates. They were the Imperial City in the east, the Long family in the west, the Nether Mansion in the south, and the Ethereal Palace in the north. Now, Longao was in the Imperial City in the east. The spirit domain of the 9 states had 4 major plates, and each plate was incomparably huge. Longao was very careful in the Imperial City. No matter what, the Dragon sect had destroyed the 3 major sects and fought against the Ghost King sect. It could be said that they had directly touched the Imperial City's interests. If there were no accidents, the Imperial City would definitely deal with him. Under such circumstances, Longao was really unwilling to provoke the Imperial City. If the Long family and the Imperial City attacked him at the same time, wouldn't he be attacked from both sides? Rank 3 Long family, Imperial City. Longao was preparing to leave the Imperial City for the ordinary spirit domain. Although no one knew the location of his family, it was better to be safe than sorry. What if the Long family found the Longao Peak? Longao could completely imagine that if the Long family sent out the law enforcement heavenly venerables, even with the fire Qilin guarding the Longao Peak, once they assassinated or attacked by force, would the family be able to withstand it? Others might not know, but how could Longao not know? Although the fire Qilin was powerful, He was seriously injured and had not recovered at all. Not to mention the heavenly venerables, even the supreme venerables might not be able to defeat him. He could only suppress the enemy with his aura and scare them away. If he was scared away, everything would be fine. What if he was not scared away? It was precisely because of this that Longao could not wait to leave the spirit domain of the 9 states and return to the Tianzhou Imperial City's teleportation array. There was only one way to go from the spirit domain of the 9 states to the ordinary spirit domain, and that was to use the various teleportation arrays. However, the teleportation arrays were firmly controlled by the 4 major forces. No matter who wanted to leave, they had to obtain the consent of the 4 major forces. The 4 major forces had previously agreed that in order to balance the upper and lower spirit domains, they would prohibit the upper and lower spirit domains from going to and fro. Usually, it was difficult for Longao to leave the spirit domain of the 9 states, let alone at this time. I want to go to the ordinary spirit domain. The guard of the teleportation array was a heavenly venerables. The law enforcement heavenly venerables of the imperial city were very arrogant. They glanced at him and said indifferently, "Name, where are you from?" "Longao, from the 3rd rank Long family." Longao did not say that he was from the imperial city, but the heavenly venerables clearly did not believe him. Suddenly, they took out a portrait from their bosom. They glanced at it and said coldly, "Longao of the Long family of the Scarlet Fire Town, come with me." Shocked, Longao never thought that the other party would be able to recognize him at a glance. Just as Longao wanted to leave, he found that his body had been locked. It was not an easy thing to leave. "Longao, I am only following orders. When the Imperial City hands you over to the 3rd rank Long family, your life or death will depend on you." Sure enough. Longao was very curious. He did not know why the Imperial City would work for the 3rd rank Long family. Even if the Long family was known as the leader of the 4 major forces, the Imperial City would not do so. After all, the 4 major forces had suffered countless casualties in the war. "Senior, there is no grudge between you and me. It is convenient for you to help others. Longao will remember this kindness in the future. You can go." "En?" Hearing that the other party was really letting him go, Longao was a little confused. He did not know what the other party meant. P.S. During this period of time, Xiao Jiu has been staying up too late, causing him to be really tired. Yesterday, he slept all day and only woke up at 10 o'clock. The first chapter has been delivered, please forgive me. Chapter 333. Senior you. Waving his hand, the Sky Sovereign said indifferently, "I admire your courage and talent. You're right, there is no enmity between us. I don't need to work for the 3rd rank Long family." Ever since Longao made his debut, he had always thought that everyone was selfish. Only now did he know that there were still good people in this world. "Thank you, Senior. Longao, let me give you a piece of advice. Don't try to leave the spirit domain of the 9 states for the time being. All the transmission arrays of the 4 major forces have been sealed. No matter where you go, the 4 major forces will know. When that time comes, you will be in big trouble." Longao had already guessed that the 3rd rank Long family would seal their transmission arrays, but he never thought that the 3 major forces would do the same. It seemed that the 3rd rank Long family's foundation was still very terrifying. Even the 3 major forces had to give them face. "Senior, I have a presumptuous request. I hope that you can let me leave the spirit domain of the 9 states." As if he had already guessed that Longao would say this, the Sky Sovereign nodded and opened the transmission array without further nonsense. Delighted, Longao stepped into the transmission array. After expressing his gratitude, his entire body disappeared. In the blink of an eye, Longao had returned to the ordinary spirit domain. As soon as he returned to the Dragon Sect, Longao received news that the Ghost King Sect was preparing to attack the Dragon Sect in 3 days. The person who passed this news to Longao was Ao Tian. When the two of them formed an alliance, they agreed that one would be in the light and the other in the dark. As long as there was a chance, the two families would work together to deal with the imperial city. Under normal circumstances, this kind of situation would never happen. However, Longao and the Ghost King were both ambitious people. Even the impossible became possible. Whether it was the Ghost King or Longao, they were very clear about one thing. As long as they destroyed the imperial city, they would become the new overlords of the 9 states. After receiving news that his family was safe and sound, Longao could finally breathe a sigh of relief. At night, the black moon hung high in the sky, and the black wind blew. Longao seemed to have guessed that Ao Tian's figure would suddenly appear in the ghost sect. The two of them sat down in the pavilion. Longao, it's said that the 4 major factions have already issued a kill order for you. This time, the imperial city will ally with the 3rd grade Long family to deal with you. According to the information I received, as long as the imperial city destroys you, the 3rd grade Long family will help the imperial city truly obtain the Tianzhou province. So that was the case. Longao's expression was also slightly grave because he knew very well what the alliance between the rank 3 Long family and the imperial city meant. Longao, given the current situation, you don't have to fight them head-on. Revenge is a dish best served cold. How could Longao not know about the Ghost King's worries? But could he really avoid it? Without hiding anything, Ghost King Ao Tian recounted everything that happened at the 3rd grade dragon family. After he finished listening, Ghost King Ao Tian's face turned serious. He said, "If that's the case, then there's no way to avoid it. But the imperial city and the 3rd grade dragon family are too strong. Relying on the dragon sect's strength alone, it's impossible to contend against these 2 forces. Uncle Ao, do you have a way?" Longao was well aware of Ao Tian's character. Even if his relationship with Aoshua was there, as long as he had no value, the first person to abandon him would be Ghost King Ao Tian. Longao could completely guess that if he didn't have a way, the Ghost King wouldn't have appeared here tonight. Nodding, Ao Tian said, "Longao, the Ghost King's sect will attack you later. I'll do everything I can to get the imperial city people to come out. When the time comes, you just have to keep attacking the imperial city army. I believe that the other 3 major factions will slowly intervene." "Uncle Ao, how many people did the imperial city send this time?" "Not many, just over 300. They're all Xiantian martial artists, and there's only one heavenly venerate. I believe that with the ghost sect's strength, they can definitely do it. 300 Xiantian martial artists and 1 heavenly venerate. This was a very powerful force. Longao was well aware that the Ghost King wanted to test him this time. If he couldn't even deal with these people, then it would be impossible for him to deal with the imperial city. Nodding, Longao didn't say anything else. After sending Ao Tian off, he immediately went to find Dugubai and Xia Jun, including Xia Fang and Hao Chao. Longao told them about the imperial city's plan to deal with the dragon sect. After hearing this, the 4 people's faces became serious. Dugubai said, "Master, forgive me for being blunt, but with the sect's current strength, it's impossible for us to be a match for the imperial city. If we choose to meet force with force, I'm afraid we'll be digging our own graves. I know this, but we must win this battle." At this time, Longao's face was full of doubt. He said, "Wait for me here." With that, Longao got up and left quickly. The 4 people didn't know what was going on, and could only wait in the hall. Inside the dragon seal space. "Master, with the dragon sect's current strength, it's impossible for them to be a match for the imperial city. Just because of this?" Longao naturally knew that with his and the dragon sect's current strength, it was impossible for them to be a match for the imperial city. "Master, I have a way to stop the imperial city." Hearing this, Longao was overjoyed. He couldn't wait to ask, "Long Fu, what's the way to stop the imperial city?" "Master, it's very simple. As long as the dragon sect can arrange a powerful array, then not to mention the imperial city, even if the 4 major forces come together, They won't be able to do anything to the dragon sect. Array? Longao shrugged helplessly when he heard that it was actually this method. Longao had a general understanding of array masters. Array masters were very powerful. Not only could they kill enemies above their level, but they could also fight against 100 enemies. However, array masters were extremely rare, not to mention powerful array masters. They were 1 in 10,000 and rarely seen in 100 years. Where could such a talent be found? Long Fu, where can I find such a powerful array master? Master, although I'm not an array master and don't know how to arrange arrays, I know a way. We can borrow the power of heaven and earth to arrange a heaven and earth array. When the time comes, the Imperial City won't be able to do anything to us. Heaven and earth array. Not to mention the power of the array, just the name of the array sounded extremely domineering. Longao was very anxious, but Long Fu said first, Master, I'll teach you how to arrange the array later. I'll gather the power of heaven and earth. I believe it'll be completed in 2 days. What level of martial artist can the heaven and earth array kill? This was the point that Longao was most concerned about. No matter what, the Imperial City had sent out 300 troops this time, and there was a heavenly venerate among them. If they couldn't kill the heavenly venerate, then everything would be in vain. Long Fu also knew what Longao meant. He nodded and said, As long as the arrangement is successful, I believe it should be able to kill a heavenly venerate. As for stronger martial artists, unless we continue to improve the array in the future, the current power of the array can't reach this point. Chapter 334. Constantly improving. Sighing deeply, Longao naturally knew that with the current heaven and earth formation, it was impossible to kill a stronger martial artist. No matter what, the current heaven and earth formation that could kill an Empyrean martial artist had solved the urgent problem. Long Fu, let's begin immediately. No problem. Then, Long Fu told Longao how to set up the heaven and earth formation. 2 hours later, Longao returned to the main hall, causing the four to be extremely worried. They didn't know what had happened to the master, and why he had left. Seeing that the master had returned safely, they let out a sigh of relief. The 4 of you, I now have a way to deal with the Imperial City. Send out the order, no matter if it's the inner or outer disciples of the Ghost Sect, they are not allowed to take a single step out of the sect. Hearing that the master had a way to deal with the Imperial City, the 4 of them were immediately overjoyed. Master, what method can we use to stop the Imperial City? Of course, the 4 of them were well aware of the Imperial City's strength. They also knew how strong the Empyreans were. In other words, the master already had a way to stop the Empyreans? Very surprised, the 4 of them thought for a moment, then asked in the end. Heaven and earth formation. Remember, you can't tell any of the disciples about this. Then, Longao told them about the heaven and earth formation. After hearing that, the 4 of them could be said to be extremely shocked. Dugabai said, Grandmaster, since we already possess such a powerful formation, we must attack the Imperial City once and for all. Let them be completely terrified after the first time, or even the second time. Formation. The 4 of them all knew what a formation represented. Formation masters were one of the most powerful existences in the world, but they were also extremely rare. The 4 of them didn't know how the master could set up such a powerful formation in just a short 2 hours. I know what I'm doing. You guys go and make the arrangements. Don't disturb me for 2 days. I need to put all my effort into setting up the heaven and earth formation. Nodding, the 4 of them left in a single file. Not long after, they had all left the main hall. Longao didn't hesitate at all. Under normal circumstances, the Imperial City would have already been prepared to attack the sect. However, Ghost King Aotian tried his best to stop him. In other words, he had 3 days to prepare. After obtaining the method of setting up the heaven and earth formation, Longao immediately began to set it up. The heaven and earth formation was not created by anyone. It was nurtured by the heaven and earth. According to Long Fu, the heaven and earth formation had not been born since he obtained it. Therefore, Long Fu wanted to see how powerful the heaven and earth formation was. The heaven and earth formation. The heaven and earth formation was heaven and earth formation. As long as the heaven and earth didn't perish, the formation would be destroyed heaven and earth, and heaven and earth formation would not be destroyed heaven and earth. As for setting up the heaven and earth array formation, the foundation that was required was something that most people would not be able to obtain. Fortunately, Long Fu had all of it, so setting it up was relatively smooth. Not only that, Longao also placed all the powerful corpse demons in the array. After 2 days, the heaven and earth array was barely completed. After slightly activating the heaven and earth array, Longao only sensed the aura of the array. His face was full of confidence. However, since no one had broken through the array, he still did not know how powerful the array was. Tomorrow, the Imperial City's army of 300 would come to the sect. If they couldn't stop them, not only him, but the sect would be destroyed. Longao didn't dare to act recklessly. If the heaven and earth formation couldn't stop the Imperial City's army, the consequences would be unimaginable. Because of this, Longao moved most of the sect's disciples to Longao Peak. If they could stop the army this time, the dragon sect would become famous. Longao knew very well that although the sect was as famous as the Ghost King sect, everyone still looked down on the sect. After all, he had just established the dragon sect. His strength and foundation were there for all to see. At this moment, someone came to the dragon sect. "Are you a disciple of the Crimson Dragon City's Long Clan?" "Yes, this is a letter from my young master. He hopes that young master Longao can save him." Taking the letter and opening it, Longao's complexion suddenly changed after just a glance. It turned out that ever since he left, he didn't know where the spirit beasts came from, and they directly surrounded the Crimson Dragon City. Thousands of spirit beasts surrounded the Crimson Dragon City. Among them were more than a dozen supreme spirit beasts. In just a few months, the Crimson Dragon City had been attacked dozens of times. If it wasn't for the Long family, the Crimson Dragon City would have been destroyed. Long Potion's meaning was simple. He was inviting Lin Fan to go to the Crimson Dragon City to save the Long family. Longao was not a fool. Of course, he knew that Long Potian would not ask him for help unless it was a last resort. However, the current situation was that the sect was in trouble. If he left, the Imperial City would break into the sect. Lin Fan was in a dilemma. He sighed deeply. On one side was the dragon sect that he built with his own hands. On the other side was his good friend. It was hard to choose. "Brother Long, is there something on your mind?" "Brother Dugu, now that my brother is in trouble, he is urgently asking me to go and save him. But I can't leave the sect now. I want to ask you, on one side is the dragon sect, and on the other is my good friend. How should I choose?" It was really difficult, really difficult. Dugubai knew that Longao was in a dilemma. But he still said, "Brother Long, if it was anything else, I would support you to help your friend. But now that the sect is in trouble, your friend can't compare to the sect. Our priority now is to protect the sect." Longao knew what Dugubai meant. He had to give up on his friend and choose the sect. But could he really choose the sect? Giving up on his friend was not something Longao could do. He thought about it and said, "Brother Dugu, I still want to choose my friend. Later you can move everyone out. I will settle this with the Imperial City in the future." With regards to Longao's character, Dugubai naturally knew it very well. He deeply sighed and did not say anything else. He turned around and left. A crescent moon hung high in the night sky. Longao stood quietly at the peak of the mountain, looking at the endless void in the distance. Longao had decided to help Long Potian this time. As for the sect, as long as the disciples were fine, there would be a chance for them to rise again in the future. The heaven and earth formation had been set up successfully. Longao could not destroy it. Because of this, Longao was ready to settle the matters in Crimson Dragon City and then come back to rebuild the sect. He did not believe that the Imperial City could do anything to them. Longao stood quietly at the peak of the mountain. He did not move for the entire night. When the next day came, Longao immediately set off, rushing to Crimson Dragon City at the fastest speed. As for the sect matters, he left them to Dugabai and Xia Jun. Chapter 335. The Tianwu continent was divided into 9 states, namely the sky, earth, sun, moon, sunset, cloud, crimson, illusion, and black forest. The Crimson State had 9 great clans, namely the Wang, Hao, Duanmu, Long, Miao, Wei, Zhou, Fang, and Yan families. The Crimson Dragon City was the Long family's territory. Ever since Long Patian reached the top of the stairway to heaven, the 8 great clans did not dare to provoke the Long family, but in their hearts, they could not wait for the Long family to be destroyed. Thousands of spiritual beasts suddenly appeared in the Crimson Fire Town, and among them were the 8 great supremes, while the Long family only had 3 supremes. 8 against 3, the result was obvious. If it was in the past, even if there were grudges between the 9 great clans, the 8 great clans would not sit idly by. But now, the situation was completely different. However, the 8 great supremes did not dare to act rashly. After all, the Long family had 3 supremes. If they fought head-on, even if they could destroy the Long family in the end, they would suffer heavy losses. The 8 great supremes were not fools, so they sent out thousands of spiritual beasts to attack the Crimson Dragon City. When the Long family was exhausted, the 8 great supremes would attack. At that time, wouldn't it be easy to destroy the Long family? The Crimson Dragon City. The Long family. Looking at the current Crimson Dragon City, Long Bu was completely depressed. As the leader of the 9 great clans, and with his son reaching the top of the stairway to heaven, he believed that the family would definitely soar. But now? In just a few months, the situation had completely reversed. Who is it? Father, do you suspect that someone is doing it on purpose? It's very simple. For so many years, the Crimson Province has never had so many spiritual beasts appear. But now, there are more than 1,000 transformed spiritual beasts, and among them are 8 sovereign-level spiritual beasts. Yet, they didn't attack the other 8 families and only attacked our Long family. Doesn't this mean that someone is deliberately messing with our Long family? Nodding, Long Potion's expression was extremely serious. Now that the 8 great supremes and thousands of spiritual beasts had gathered in the Crimson Dragon City, the 8 great clans turned a blind eye, and did not have the slightest intention of helping. There was only one result, and that was the Long family being destroyed by the spiritual beasts. Patian, you asked Longao for help. Will he come? In the past, Long Bu would never have asked Longao for help. But now, the situation was completely different. The reason was very simple. He already knew what had happened to Longao several months ago. I don't know. Deep down, Long Patian didn't want Longao to go. No matter what, one could imagine the power of the 8 supreme spirit beasts. Even Longao might not be able to resist them. With a deep sigh, Longbu said, I've already received news that Longao destroyed the Blood River sect. Not only did he kill 10 venerables, he even killed 3 supremes in an instant. With such powerful strength, if Longao is willing to help, our Long family will be saved. Killing 10 venerables and instantly killing 3 supreme beings, this kind of strength was too powerful. Longbu could completely imagine that if Longao could instantly kill 3 supreme beings, then dealing with the 8 supreme beings' spiritual beasts would not be a problem. Father, you treated Longao like that back then. Although Long Patian didn't finish his words, the meaning of his words was very clear. Longbu also felt a little guilty. He never thought that Longao's talent and potential would be so great. It was truly a case of knowing a person's face but not their strength. Father, there's something I've never told you. Back then, when Brother Long and I climbed the 99 steps together, it wasn't me, but Brother Long who reached the top. What did you say? Hearing those words, Longbu's face was greatly shocked because he never would have thought that the person who truly stepped onto the peak of the 99 steps to heaven wasn't his son, but Longao. Patian, why didn't you tell me earlier? If I knew earlier, no matter what happened, I wouldn't have chosen to give up on Longao. Of course, Longbu knew what it meant to be a person who had reached the peak of the 99 heavenly stairs. In addition, Longao had destroyed the Blood Sea sect, killed 10 venerables, and instantly killed 3 supremes. This in itself already showed what kind of person Longao was. At this moment, Longbu was extremely regretful. If he knew that Longao had reached the top, how could he have treated Longao like that? However, Longao didn't give up. No matter what, his son and Longao had a very good relationship. Everything depended on this time. As long as Longao came, everything would be fine. If he didn't come, then it seemed that Longao wouldn't come again. 8 Supreme Being Spiritual Beasts. Seeing the 8 Supreme Being Spiritual Beasts staring at them from afar, both Longbu and Long Patian had grave expressions. If the 8 Supreme Being Spiritual Beasts attacked together, then the Long family would definitely be destroyed. According to the plan of the 8 Supreme Being Spiritual Beasts, they were prepared to slowly exhaust the Long family's strength. However, for some reason, the 8 Supreme Being Spiritual Beasts suddenly attacked, wanting to end the battle quickly. In the blink of an eye, the 8 Supreme Being Spiritual Beasts had already caused a huge uproar in Crimson Dragon City. At this time, the only 2 Supreme Beings of the Long family attacked, but they couldn't stop the 8 Supreme Being Spiritual Beasts at all and were instantly drowned. Seeing this, Longbu lost all hope. He sighed deeply and said, Patian, leave Crimson Dragon City as soon as possible. Remember, the glory of the clan rests on your shoulders. As long as you don't die, there's hope for our clan to rise again. I won't leave. These simple words were enough to express Long Potion's intention. He vowed to live and die with the family. Longbu sighed deeply. How could he not know his son's character? Since Patian chose not to leave, then no matter what he did, Patian wouldn't leave. Just as the 2 of them were about to attack, a long whistle sounded. Then, a black figure shot over from afar, arriving in the blink of an eye. In a short while, Longao's figure appeared in Crimson Dragon City. It's Longao. It's really Longao. Seeing Longao suddenly appear, Longbu was extremely excited. No matter what, since Longao could kill 3 Supreme Being cultivators, then he had the strength to kill the 8 Supreme Being Spiritual Beasts. Longbu saw his savior, but Long Patian felt a little guilty. No matter what, his father and the Long family treated Longao like that. This time, Longao still chose to come. This in itself showed that no matter what happened in the past, Longao still treated him as a good friend. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't moved. Because of this, Long Patian didn't even think about it and directly rushed over. This scared Longbu because he knew his son's strength very well. How could he be a match for the 8 Supreme Beings? After a deep look, Longbu didn't go up. In the end, his life was more important than anything. Even his own son couldn't compare. Chapter 336. Longao arrived in time and joined the battle without any hesitation. 1 against 8. Longao was a peak venerable, only 1 step away from the supremacy level, but he was still incomparable to a real supremacy. If it was an ordinary peak venerable, not to mention 1 against 8 at the same time, even if it was a one-on-one battle, he would probably be killed by a supremacy. But Longao's situation was obviously different. Peak venerable realm, desolate tyrant body, and all kinds of things made Longao fully qualified to fight against the supremacy, although it was a little difficult for him to fight against 8 supremacies alone. Seeing Long Patian suddenly appear, Longao forced the 8 supremacy spirit beasts away with a palm and said anxiously, Brother Patian, let me deal with this, you deal with the other spirit beasts first. Brother Long, listen to me. Long Potian took a deep look and finally chose to deal with the other weak spirit beasts, because he knew that he and Longao were not on the same level, and couldn't intervene at all. In the blink of an eye, Longao and the 8 Supremacy Spirit Beasts had already fought for 30 rounds, and there was no clear winner. The Divine Dragon Arm and Hell Tiger Arm smashed fiercely, but Longao was still alone and couldn't dodge in time, and was hit by a Supremacy Spirit Beast's fist. Longao didn't dare to be careless, and turned around and smashed fiercely. 1 against 8, it was already very heaven-defying. Roars came one after another. The 8 Supremacy Spirit Beasts never thought that the human martial artist who had just appeared would be so powerful. His realm was obviously lower than theirs, but his strength was on par with them. 1 against 8, and he could still fight to a draw, but what if it was a one-on-one battle? The 8 Supremacy Spirit Beasts didn't dare to imagine how many moves they could block if they fought one-on-one with the human martial artist. Because of this, the 8 Supremacy Spirit Beasts worked even harder, and each of their moves was vicious, wanting to destroy the human martial artist in the shortest time possible. Longao took out his blood-sucking wild saber and slashed again and again, sweeping away the 8 Supreme Spiritual Beasts. The battle was earth-shattering. The 8 Supreme Spirit Beasts attacked from 8 directions at the same time, and surrounded Longao in a circle. They punched and kicked, and didn't give him any chance to escape. Longao was very clear in his heart. Without the Fire Chilant's life essence blood, it was impossible for him to kill the 8 Supreme Spirit Beasts. Moreover, he might even suffer a loss. Longao was fully confident that even if he couldn't withstand the attacks of the 8 Supreme Spiritual Beasts, he could still preserve his life. However, he couldn't let things go on like this. He had to find a way to deal with the 8 Supreme Spirit Beasts as soon as possible. That's the only way. In the end, Longao decided to stake everything on this one attack. He prepared to go all out and use his strongest move. At this time, with Longao as the center, his whole body began to spin, instantly turning into a tornado that engulfed the surroundings. Sorrow of Heaven and Earth. Under normal circumstances, Longao didn't want to use Sorrow of Heaven and Earth. Just as Long Fu said, although Sorrow of Heaven and Earth was powerful, he was still a venerable. If he used it too many times, it wouldn't benefit him at all. However, the situation had already reached this point. If he didn't go all out, he could only flee. Even if he was willing, would Long Potian be willing? Not only did he use Sorrow of Heaven and Earth, Longao took advantage of the 8 Supreme Spiritual Beasts' carelessness to use a soul attack. It was as fast as lightning, followed by miserable screams. Longao was overjoyed. He didn't give up such a rare opportunity. With a stride, the tornado swallowed the 8 Supreme Spiritual Beasts at the same time. He didn't even know what happened, but the 8 Supreme Spiritual Beasts were all annihilated. After killing the 8 Supreme Spiritual Beasts, Longao turned around and prepared to kill the remaining spiritual beasts. More than 1,000 spiritual beasts were all at the Xiantian and transformation level. It was impossible for them to resist the attack of such a powerhouse. I really didn't expect that there would be such a person in this small spirit domain. Not bad, not bad. Under the suppression of the Qi of Heaven and Earth, all the spiritual beasts obediently crawled to the ground. Even Long Bu and Long Potian were the same. Feeling the Qi of Heaven and Earth released by the opponent, Longao was shocked. He didn't release the Qi of Heaven and Earth to resist. Since his rise, he hadn't seen any martial artist who could release the Qi of Heaven and Earth. Although he didn't know what cultivation realm one had to reach to be able to condense the Qi of Heaven and Earth, Longao was sure that those who could condense the Qi of Heaven and Earth were all incomparably powerful existences. There was no doubt about this. Who are you? The young man who suddenly appeared was wearing yellow clothes. He had sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. His facial features were very handsome, giving off an enchanting feeling. Standing in the void was the performance of a celestial venerable. However, Longao was very clear that this enchanting young man couldn't be just a celestial venerable. Could he be a world king or world emperor? You're really good. Long family didn't find a genius like you. It's really a mistake. I'm Sherpatian. What's your name? Longao. Sherpatian? Longao, a very good name. I wonder what level of family you are from. Longao certainly knew the meaning behind Sherpatian's words. He didn't hide it at all and said, 6th level Long family disciple. 6th level Long family? Sherpatian seemed very surprised. He obviously knew that the Long family was divided into 9 levels. Those below the 3rd level were almost all trash. However, Sherpatian seemed to think highly of Longao, so he didn't think that Longao would be a 6th level Long family disciple. Very interesting. Longao, this is a matter between me and the Long family of Crimson Dragon City. It has nothing to do with you. Seeing that you're not bad, I won't kill you today. Leave. Longpatian and I are brothers. His business is my business. Unless I'm dead, I won't leave. I advise you to leave as soon as possible. Longbu was extremely excited that Longao had killed the 8 supreme spiritual beasts. However, seeing the enchanting young man suddenly appear, his expression changed instantly. He asked carefully, Senior, I don't know how my family offended you. Please tell me. Even Longao was so afraid of this person. Thinking about it, one could imagine what kind of person this Sherpatian was. It was precisely because of this that Longbu was worried to the extreme. He didn't know how he had offended such a strong person who could actually command spirit beasts. I admire you today. Since that's the case, I'll give you face. As long as the Long family gives me one thing, I'll leave. How about it? Hearing this, Longao was suddenly happy. No matter what, the strength of the opponent was too strong. Even if he attacked with all his strength, he didn't have the confidence to defeat this person. If he could use one thing to settle this, it would be the best. Senior, I don't know what you need. As long as my family has it, I'll give it to you. You're quite sensible. Does your family have a key? Chapter 337. Key? Longbu's heart skipped a beat, but his face remained calm as he asked. Senior, what key? Humph! Without another word, Sherpatian suddenly unleashed a powerful aura that pressed down on Longbu. If it weren't for Sherpatian's good control, it would have been enough to kill Longbu. Sherpatian! Get lost! With a wave of his hand, Sherpatian didn't even need to do anything. Longpotion's body was already sent flying, making contact with the ground. He grimaced in pain. Sure. Before Longao could say anything, Sherpatian said in a deep voice. Longao, I've given you face because you're a talent, but Longbu doesn't know what's good for him. I'll ask you one last time, hand over the key? Longao was very curious. He didn't know what kind of key Longbu had and why he didn't hand it over. Was his life more important than the key? Longbu's face darkened when he saw his son being hit, but he still denied it. I really don't know what the key you're talking about is. You're courting death. Wait, I know the key. Patian. Longpatian climbed up with difficulty, and suddenly smiled. Father, is the key really more important than our lives? If you hand over the key, the Long family will never be able to rise again. Longbu's face was filled with despair because he knew very well what the key represented. But Longpatian didn't care. He took a small black key from his neck and asked, Are you talking about this key? Ha ha ha, yes it is. You know what's good for you. If you'd handed over the key earlier, I wouldn't have had to destroy Crimson Dragon City. The key fell into Sherpatian's hand and he suddenly laughed. He ignored Longbu and Longpatian and looked at Longao. He suddenly said, Longao, with your talent you'll come back sooner or later. When that time comes, I hope you won't disappoint me. Ha ha ha, I'm looking forward to that day. Seeing Sherpatian laughing and leaving, Longao and Longpatian let out a sigh of relief. Brother Long, thank you very much. You and I are brothers. 5 simple words. Longao didn't say anything else. This was a friend, this was a brother. Everything was understood without words. Long Patian nodded and didn't say anything else. Seeing his father walk over, he asked directly, "Father, you never told me what this key does. Why did it attract such a powerful cultivator?" "Key?" Laughing miserably and hopelessly, Longbu said, "This key was given to my Long family by a senior. He said that when the time is right, my Long family can rise and even advance to become a rank 3 Long family. But now—" Long Patian seemed to want to ask something else, but Longbu had already turned around and left. Crimson Dragon City was already in shambles, and even the Dragon clan was almost destroyed. It would not be easy to rise again. Longbu despaired. Longao and Long Patian looked at each other and saw a trace of helplessness in each other's eyes. Big Brother Patian, it seems like Uncle has suffered quite a blow. Why don't the Long family join our dragon sect first, and then we'll decide what to do in the future? Long Patian obviously knew about the dragon sect that Longao had just established. After thinking for a bit, he finally nodded and said, "All right, that's all we can do now. Brother Long, the Patian who just left is not simple. If I'm not mistaken, he shouldn't belong here." Didn't belong here? Longao knew what Long Patian was implying. Thinking about the chi of heaven and earth that Patian had just released, Longao understood Patian's identity and strength. Could this person be from the spirit region of the 9 states? East Royal City, West 3rd Grade Long Family, South Nether Underworld Mansion, North Ethereal Palace, Spirit Realm of the 9 states. Patian was definitely not from the Long family. The reason was simple: Patian's surname was not Long. Since that was the case, it meant that Patian was a disciple of one of the 3 great powers. Longao didn't know where Patian came from. Nether Mansion? Ethereal Palace? Or the Imperial City? After thinking for a bit, Longao decided to exclude the Imperial City. Because of the grudge between him and the Imperial City, if Patian was from the Imperial City, then he would definitely choose to deal with him. Just now, Longao had carefully observed Patian's expression. From the beginning to the end, Patian didn't seem to recognize him at all. Therefore, it was very likely that Patian came from 2 places. One was the Nether Mansion, and the other was the Ethereal Palace. Patian. Longao deeply remembered this name, because he knew very well that no matter which power Patian belonged to, he would become a formidable opponent in the future. Incomparably powerful, mysterious, and unfathomable, this was Longao's evaluation of Patian. Since his debut, Longao had seen countless experts, and the strongest was only a supreme being. But no matter who it was impossible for them to have the chi of heaven and earth. Obviously, Patian's strength had reached a certain level, a level that he couldn't reach. "Brother Long, are you worried about Patian?" Nodding, Longao didn't hide anything and said, "Patian's strength is mysterious and unfathomable. If he attacked, I wouldn't even be able to block 3 moves." Hearing that, Long Patian was shocked. He never would have thought that even his brother Long couldn't block 3 of Patian's attacks. It was obvious just how powerful Patian was. One had to know that Brother Long had just killed 8 Supreme Being spiritual beasts by himself. Just with this strength, not to mention a Supreme Being, even a Supreme Being wouldn't be a problem. However, such a powerful Brother Long couldn't even block 3 moves from Patian. Long Patian didn't even dare to think about what realm Patian's strength had reached. "Brother Patian, if nothing unexpected happens, Patian's cultivation should be above the World Emperor." Of course, Long Patian knew about the 8 realms of nothingness. Because of this, he asked in shock, "Brother Long, you mean to say that there are even higher realms above the 8 realms of nothingness?" Although unwilling to admit it, Longao still said, "That's right, there are indeed higher realms above the 8 realms of nothingness. However, I don't know. From the strength Patian displayed just now, I can say for sure that Patian's strength definitely surpasses the World Emperor." Long Patian took a deep breath and forcefully calmed the shock in his heart. Only then did he say, "Fortunately, he only wanted the key and not our lives. Otherwise, we would all be dead right now." Longao wasn't that optimistic, because for some reason, he had a feeling that he would definitely meet Patian again in the near future. Chapter 338. No matter what, he had saved the Long family from danger. Longao took Long Bu, Long Patian, and the remaining disciples of the Long family and left Crimson Province to return to Longao Peak. Longao thought about it and finally decided to settle Brother Potion's family on Longao Peak. With the corpse slave and fire Qilin guarding, it would be much safer. Longao's trip to Crimson Province took a total of 10 days. When he returned to the Dragon Sect, he found that the entire mountain was already in ruins and had been trampled on. There was no unwillingness. No matter what, the Dragon Sect's disciples were fine. This was already a blessing in disguise. As long as the disciples were here, they could make a comeback in a matter of minutes. Longao had just returned to the Dragon Sect. He didn't know how Ghost King Aotian found out, but he had already come looking for him. He went straight to the point and asked, "Longao, where have you been all this time?" Longao's face was indifferent. He said, "I have urgent matters to attend to." Seeing that Longao was in a bad mood, Aotian said, "This time, the Imperial City sent 300 pre-celestial warriors and a celestial master. One of them returned empty-handed. 3 days later, I will be waiting for them here." Before Aotian could speak, Longao continued, "We are in an alliance. The Dragon Sect is not a subordinate of the Ghost King Sect. For Aoshua's sake, I will not pursue this matter. But I hope you will not go too far." Longao was clearly unhappy because he was already feeling the pressure. Along the way, every time he was about to reach the peak, there would always be stronger warriors in front of him. He originally thought that the Void World Emperor was the strongest existence, but Longao did not expect that there was an existence even stronger than the Void World Emperor. Aotian took a deep look and said, "All right, 3 days later, I will persuade the Imperial City to continue attacking the Dragon Sect. I hope you will not disappear for no reason at that time." Aotian knew that Longao was no longer the same as before. Even the Ghost King Sect did not dare to provoke the Dragon Sect. If the Ghost King clan did not have the support of the Imperial City, they would not have been able to resist the Dragon clan. Just think about it, the Dragon Sect was able to wipe out the 3 major sects overnight. Just thinking about it made one realize just how powerful the Dragon Sect was. Regarding this point, Aotian the Ghost King naturally knew clearly. Longao did not bother with Aotian. He came to the Dragon Sect, gathered all the disciples and said, "Within 2 days I want to restore the Dragon Sect to its original appearance." "Yes, Master." Now Longao had both the manpower and the money. In just 2 short days, it was not difficult for the Dragon Sect to recover to its original state. This time, Longao's requirements were very high. He wanted the grade to be doubled. Ever since Longao returned to the Dragon Sect, he did not appear again. Everything was left to Dugubai and Long Patian. The matter of recruiting disciples was also left to Xia Fang and Xia Jun Dusk. Longao stood at the peak of the mountain and looked at the vast land with a clear mind. At this moment, Longao was very calm and did not think about anything. Gradually, Longao's body began to move. Although it seemed messy, there was a fixed trajectory. After walking for a full hour, Longao suddenly stopped. He was pleasantly surprised and said to himself, "So that's how it is." At this moment, the dantian in Longao's body began to spin crazily. The surrounding spiritual chi of heaven and earth flowed into his dantian continuously. Longao was completely covered by the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. "Collect!" With a roar, all the spiritual chi of heaven and earth was absorbed into Longao's body. It went straight into his dantian and flowed throughout his body. Longao was pleasantly surprised because he suddenly found a breakthrough in the supremacy realm that he had been unable to break through. Enlightenment. Longao knew very well that he was able to find a breakthrough this time because of enlightenment, and the source of enlightenment was Shirpatian. Shirpatian and the evil devil were the most powerful existences Longao had ever encountered. After all, the evil devil was just a soul, the pressure it gave him wasn't that great. However, Shirpatian was different. The pressure he gave off was real and real, causing Longao to comprehend and find the breakthrough point of the Paragon realm. The biggest difference between Venerable Void and Void Sovereign was the Sovereign Golden Core. In other words, if Venerable Void wanted to break through to Void Sovereign, he had to condense the spiritual chi in his body into a golden core. This seemed simple, but it was actually difficult. Otherwise, Longao would not be so depressed. In any case, now that he had found a breakthrough, as long as he condensed the spiritual chi into a golden core, he would be considered to have reached the so-called supremacy realm. Longao did not let go of such an opportunity. He devoted himself to condensing the spiritual chi, because he knew very well that if he failed this time, it would be even more difficult to condense the spiritual chi a second time. At this moment, all the energy in Longao's body gathered in his dantian. Then, it began to rotate, slowly converge, and began to compress. This was the most important step. Whether he could condense the golden core depended on this step. All the spiritual chi gathered and began to compress fiercely. After an unknown period of time, Longao stopped absorbing the spiritual chi of heaven and earth around him. However, Longao was shrouded in the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. He could not see his body at all, only a thick layer of white air shield. Inside the air shield, Longao had already condensed a small golden bead in his body. It was the supremacy golden core. After an entire night of condensing, Longao had finally condensed the supremacy golden core. However, this was not the end, because Longao still had to continue to consolidate the golden core, making it completely stable. Longao knew the supremacy void very well. The stronger the golden core was, the faster the cultivation level would increase. In other words, after the supremacy void broke through to the supremacy realm and condensed the golden core, some warriors would directly enter the supremacy void realm, some warriors would enter the supremacy void realm, some warriors would enter the supremacy void realm, and some warriors would even enter the supremacy void realm directly. It was because of this that Longao tried his best to consolidate it. Gradually, the golden core in Longao's body grew bigger. When it was the size of a fist, Longao felt as if his entire body was being sucked dry. In an instant, all the spiritual chi in his body disappeared. At this time, the golden core that had just been consolidated emitted a strong spiritual chi. The supremacy golden core, the spiritual chi, represented the supremacy realm. Longao was pleasantly surprised. He had never thought that he would be able to break through so easily at this time. Moreover, he was not a nothingness primary sovereign, but a nothingness peak sovereign. Such a speed of improvement was something that he had never dreamed of. Longao did not hesitate at all. He immediately spread the spiritual chi emitted by the golden core all over his body, not letting any part of his body go. In this way, Longao's cultivation level was completely stabilized at the supremacy void realm. This was something that Longao had not expected. P.S. I can't hold on any longer. Little 9 is going to eat something. The remaining 3 chapters will all be delivered from 1 to 2 o'clock. Tomorrow, there will still be 10 chapters. Little 9 will wake up early to write them. After staying up late for the past few days, Little 9 is indeed tired. Chapter 339. Void Sovereign. Moreover, he was a Void Peak Sovereign. Longao solidified the spiritual source all over his body. Only then did he truly reach Void Peak Sovereign. As expected. After successfully breaking through to the Void Pinnacle Supremacy, Longao could finally sense the difference between the void's supremacy and the void's supremacy. This was a fundamental difference. Longao had a feeling that if he were to meet a supremacy now, he would be able to kill him instantly without any assistance. This was the strong confidence brought by Void Peak Sovereign. However, Longao was not complacent because he knew that Void Sovereign was nothing in the Void realm. Above him were Void Heavenly Honorable, Void Grand Honorable, Void Boundary King, Void Boundary Emperor, and even more powerful existences above the Void realm. There was still a long way to go. Void Peak Sovereign. If he met a celestial venerable, as long as Long Chang helped him, he believed that it would not be difficult to fight a celestial venerable. It was precisely because of this that Longao could not wait to battle with the heavenly venerables to test just how strong he had become. 3 days later. No one knew what method Ao Tian used, but the 308 experts from the Imperial City once again arrived at the Dragon Sect. This time, the strongest person was Yi Kai, the Imperial City's law enforcement celestial venerable. Standing in front of the Dragon Sect, Yi Kai's face was full of ridicule and contempt. In his opinion, no matter how much Longao struggled, he would always be a venerable. Even if he could kill a sovereign instantly, a venerable would always be a venerable. A venerable or a sovereign was nothing in front of a celestial venerable. Kill without mercy. Leave no one alive. At Yi Kai's order, the 308 experts all rushed forward and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Then, there were angry, and even frightened voices. What happened? Hearing the miserable screams, Yi Kai was shocked. He had no idea what had happened. Dragon Sect. The 300 Xiantian martial artists were very powerful, but they were nothing to the current Dragon Sect. Longao didn't even use the Heaven and Earth Array. He just summoned his soul slaves and killed them. Honorable and supreme soul slaves slaughtered these Xiantian martial artists. The souls of Xiantian martial artists, transformation martial artists, and even venerables and supremes were all refined by Longao into soul slaves or corpse slaves. The corpse slaves were arranged in the sect. As for soul slaves, Longao discovered that in certain situations, soul slaves were very useful in group battles. 300 Xiantian realm warriors were slaughtered by Supreme Being and Venerable Realm soul slaves. Their miserable cries echoed throughout the mountain. When Yi Kai arrived, the ground was littered with corpses. It would not be an exaggeration to say that corpses littered the ground. Longao, get the hell out here! Who are you? Imperial City's law enforcement celestial venerable Yi Kai. Longao, the law enforcement celestial lord of the Imperial City, suddenly appeared. He looked coldly at the burly man in front of him, shook his head, and said coldly, "The Imperial City will only send out some shrimp soldiers and crab generals." After being despised, Yi Kai suddenly sneered and said mockingly, "Longao, don't be so arrogant. I'll give you a chance. Kill yourself here and I'll spare your dog life. I'll only ask you to break your arms and legs. You talk too much nonsense. Mother asterisk cur." Without waiting for Yi Kai to finish speaking, Longao directly scolded. "Your mother's sister, your uncle, relying on the fact that you are the Imperial City's law enforcement Empyrean, you can actually be shameless to such an extent. I really admire you." Still not giving Yi Kai the slightest chance to speak, Longao continued, "I'm officially challenging you now. Do you dare to accept?" Challenging him? The other party actually wanted to challenge him? Hearing this, Yi Kai suddenly laughed out loud. His laughter was full of contempt and mockery, as if he had heard the funniest thing in the world. Was it possible for a venerable to challenge a celestial lord? "Longao, I have to admit that you're really arrogant. But you should know your limits. You're just a little venerable. If you want to challenge me, I'd like to ask, are you qualified? It's not up to you to decide whether I'm qualified or not. Are you saying this because you're afraid? You don't dare to accept the challenge?" "Ha ha ha, I don't dare to accept the challenge." "Okay, Longao, I officially accept the challenge. If I can't beat you in 10 moves, I'll call you Grandpa." Call what? Call you Grandpa? Call what? Ye Kai was completely furious. He cursed. Mother asterisk cur, I mean, if I can't beat you in 10 moves, I'll call you Grandpa. Good boy, you called me Grandpa 3 times. Not bad, not bad. Being played by the other party, Ye Kai was furious. He didn't continue to talk nonsense, and directly rushed out. However, Ye Kai didn't choose to meet force with force. Instead, he flew into the air and looked down from above. This way, he would be invincible. The biggest difference between a celestial lord and a supreme was that a celestial lord could fly for a short time. Just imagine, one was in the air and the other was on the ground. Once the battle started, a venerable would be almost instantly killed by a celestial lord. However, Ye Kai was facing Longao, a super monster with countless celestial lords. As soon as he attacked, Longao used his territory, which was the so-called Longchang. A huge black dragon was Longchang. The combination of a human and a dragon was invincible. Looking at the black dragon that the other party had suddenly summoned, Ye Kai's expression suddenly changed because he had never thought that Longao would really be the so-called dragon warrior. He had always thought that the rumor that Longao was a dragon warrior was just a rumor. Long family was divided into 9 levels. They were level 1 Long family, level 2 Long family, level 3 Long family, level 4 Long family, level 5 Long family, level 6 Long family, level 7 Long family, level 8 Long family, and level 9 Long family. The Long clan had a rule that no matter who it was, only those who had reached rank 3 and above could become a martial artist of the Dragon Clan. Once a rank 4 martial artist became a martial artist of the Dragon Clan, they would definitely be punished by the Long clan. It was because of this that Ye Kai couldn't figure out why Longao was a dragon warrior, but the Long family didn't care. Longchang's body was already 8 meters tall. Longao stood on Longchang's body. In this way, Ye Kai's advantage was gone. But no matter what, a venerable was still a venerable. It was impossible to compete with a celestial lord. This was the gap between realms, and nothing else could make up for it. Just like this, the two of them instantly engaged in a fierce battle. One man and one dragon, the roar of the dragon resounded throughout the world. Longao used his fiercest moves just now. Every move was vicious because Longao wanted to end the battle quickly. After breaking through to the Void Sovereign Realm, Longao's strength had improved by leaps and bounds. It was because of this that Longao went all out. The biggest difference between a celestial lord and a sovereign was the ability to fly. After all, even a celestial lord had a golden core in their body. The difference was that a sovereign had a golden core while a celestial had a golden core. P.S. I'm really sleepy. It's already 2 o'clock. Who's little 9 going first? Today's 2 chapters will be made up tomorrow morning. Little 9 will wake up early. Chapter 340. Sovereign Golden Core, Heavenly Venerable Golden Core. The golden cores of the 2 realms were the same, but their power was different. Longao quickly dodged. Divine Dragon Tail Whip. Longchang used his valiant body to continuously clash head-on with Ye Kai. Longao, on the other hand, seized the opportunity and threw punch after punch. At this moment, Ye Kai was depressed to the extreme. After all, dragon warriors were very powerful in this world. The advantage of a heavenly venerable was gone. According to the current situation, it was almost impossible to end the battle quickly. Longao and Ye Kai both wanted to eliminate each other in the shortest time possible, so their attacks were extremely vicious. They didn't care about anything else, and just wanted to kill the other party first. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had already fought for 30 rounds. Longao already knew his strength. It would be very difficult to kill a heavenly venerable unless he used his trump card, Sorrow of Heaven and Earth. Sorrow of Heaven and Earth. Longao still used this move. With Longao and Longchang as the center, it started to spin, forming a tornado that crazily absorbed the surrounding spiritual energy. Before Ye Kai could react, a dragon roar sounded, but Long Chang's figure was nowhere to be seen. One man and one dragon were enveloped by the tornado. This? Seeing the powerful martial technique used by the other party, Ye Kai was dumbfounded. He never thought that Longao's martial technique would be so powerful. At this moment, Ye Kai seemed to sense something. He exclaimed and roared in horror. Impossible! This is impossible! How can you have the aura of heaven and earth? Nirvana rebirth! You can't have Nirvana rebirth! Longao didn't answer. What answered him was only the fiercest attack. Longao didn't give Ye Kai any chance at all. One man and one dragon attacked fiercely. The situation was completely different from before. At this moment, Ye Kai was suppressed by the aura of heaven and earth. His speed and strength were greatly reduced. It was a headache to the extreme. What was going on? Longao's strength completely confused Ye Kai. He had no idea what was going on. Ye Kai couldn't figure out how a puny supreme being could release the aura of heaven and earth. This kind of legendary power seemed to be something that could only be condensed through Nirvana rebirth. Ye Kai's speed and strength were restricted. Longao attacked even more crazily. Each move was stronger than the previous one. He did not give Ye Kai any chance to breathe. Longao, I'll kill you! Rolling his eyes, Longao almost vomited. He really couldn't figure out why Ye Kai was still boasting when he was already at this point. Did he really think that he could dodge his attack? Sorrow of Heaven and Earth was the most powerful martial skill Longao possessed. He wouldn't use it under normal circumstances, but against the Heavenly Venerate, Longao didn't think too much about it. He only had one goal, and that was to kill Ye Kai. It was precisely because of this that Longao didn't pay any attention to the other party. Long Chang and Longao used the desolate tyrant body at the same time. They simply ignored Ye Kai's attacks. This was also what made Ye Kai the most depressed. It was useless for him to attack the other party 100 times. However, if the other party attacked him once, he would have to desperately dodge. If this continued, it would be obvious who would win. A Heavenly Venerate was truly worthy of being a Heavenly Venerate. Longao finally experienced the so-called strength of a Heavenly Venerate. Even if he used Sorrow of Heaven and Earth, he still wouldn't be able to kill the other party in a short time. This was the so-called Heavenly Venerate. Longao knew very well that he had to end the battle quickly. According to this situation, once the power of Sorrow of Heaven and Earth disappeared, it wouldn't be so easy to kill Ye Kai. Although Sorrow of Heaven and Earth was incomparably powerful, it couldn't be used twice in a row. Otherwise it would backfire, and he would be in big trouble. It was precisely because of this that Longao attacked even more fiercely. Soul attack. In the end, Longao still chose to stake it all. Among the martial skills he possessed, besides Sorrow of Heaven and Earth, the most powerful was soul attack. If Longao had used a soul attack from the start, then it would have definitely failed. However, the current situation was completely different. Longao had continuously attacked Ye Kai. Adding on Sorrow of Heaven and Earth, his state of mind was already in chaos. So when Longao used a soul attack, he would definitely succeed. Longao's current strength had already reached such a level that his soul attack was incomparably powerful. Even if the other party was a Heavenly Venerate, they wouldn't be able to block it. Delighted, Longao didn't give up on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. After his soul attack succeeded, blood-sucking broadsword slashed down. With an inconceivable speed, blood-sucking broadsword cut Ye Kai in two. The tornado disappeared. Looking at Heavenly Venerate Ye Kai on the ground, Longao sent his soul into the dragon seal space, preparing to let Long Fu refine him into a soul slave. No matter what, having a Heavenly Venerate soul slave by his side would be of great help to him. This time, he had successfully killed Heavenly Venerate Ye Kai. Longao was very clear that if it was based on his true strength, it would be impossible for him to kill a Heavenly Venerate. This was the difference between a sovereign and a Heavenly Venerate. Even a peak sovereign and an initial heavenly venerate couldn't compare. This time, he was able to successfully kill heavenly venerate Yikai. Longao knew that he had completely relied on his sole attack and sorrow of heaven and earth. Standing quietly, Longao didn't know what he was thinking. This time, 300 Xiantian martial artists and a heavenly venerate from the imperial city had attacked the dragon sect. However, they had been completely wiped out. When the news came out, the entire 9 provinces was shaken. No one had dared to imagine that the dragon sect was so powerful that they didn't even fear the imperial city. Although 300 Xiantian martial artists weren't much, this time, the imperial city had sent a heavenly venerate. According to the strength of the law enforcement heavenly venerate, it shouldn't have been difficult to destroy the dragon sect. However, what was the result? The entire army was wiped out. Even the heavenly venerate didn't manage to escape. This in itself already showed the strength of the dragon sect. At this point, everyone truly knew that the dragon sect was so powerful. If the Ghost King sect didn't have the support of the imperial city, it was likely that the current overlord of the Tianzhou would be the dragon sect. After successfully wiping out the imperial city's army, the Ghost King Ao Tian was very happy. This was because he had finally witnessed the strength of the dragon sect. The stronger Longao was, the better it would be for him. Longao, the dragon sect's strength is really not bad. If nothing unexpected happens, the imperial city's army will be wiped out by you. Soon, they will send an even stronger army. When that time comes, you and I will work together. One in the light, one in the dark. I believe that we can completely eradicate them. This way, we won't be far from dominating the Tianzhou. Longao wasn't surprised by the Ghost King's words. This was because the imperial city's army of 300 and a heavenly venerate had been wiped out by him. The imperial city wouldn't let this go. He believed that the next army they send out would be much stronger than this. Longao wasn't worried about the imperial city. He was worried about the third-grade Long family. Chapter 341. Longao knew that the grudge between him and the third-rank Long family had reached a point of no return. Otherwise, the third-rank Long family would not have joined forces with the other 3 families to issue a kill order. Longao, what's the matter? Longao nodded. He did not hide anything about the grudge between him and the rank 3 Long clan. He gave a rough explanation. You mean that once the third-rank Long family knows that you have returned to the dragon sect, they will launch a large-scale attack? Ao Tian was not a fool. Of course, he knew the consequences of the third-rank Long family and the imperial city joining forces. Moreover, Longao had made it very clear that the grudge between him and the third-rank Long family had reached a point where they could not tolerate each other. If the third-rank Long family insisted on attacking, the consequences would be unimaginable. The heavenly venerables were only the middle level of the 4 major forces. Above them were the great venerables, world kings, and world emperors. What if the third-rank Long family sent a great venerables? Longao and Ao Tian discussed for an entire night. No one knew what the outcome would be. Longao's killing of a heavenly venerate could be considered a blessing in disguise. He knew that his top priority now was to break through the sovereign realm and reach the earthly venerate realm as soon as possible. That way, it would not be so troublesome if he encountered a heavenly venerate again. Sovereign void, earthly venerate void, and heavenly venerate void. The 3 major realms all had golden cores. The only difference between sovereign golden cores, earthly venerate golden cores, and heavenly venerate golden cores was that the higher the realm, the more condensed and powerful the golden cores would be. In the Dragon Seal space. Long Fu, I need power. Master, your epiphany this time will be very helpful for your realm improvement. I have just thought about it. As long as you continue to absorb power, I believe that the sacred desolation body will automatically upgrade. When that time comes, it will be easy for you to break through. The sacred desolation body. Although the sacred desolation body was suddenly very difficult, one had to admit that the sacred desolation body was indeed very powerful. Especially at the juncture, as long as there was enough power, there would be almost no obstacles and one could advance directly. Of course, Long Fu knew what Longao meant. As long as the golden cores of Void Sovereign, Earthly Venerate Void and Heavenly Venerate Void continued to stabilize and strengthen, it would be easy for them to break through. Master, I've finished refining the Heavenly Venerate you just killed. Judging by its strength, once you absorb it, I believe it won't be difficult for you to break through to the Earthly Venerate level. He was overjoyed. What Longao needed the most now was power. Even if he could break through to beginner Earthly Venerable rank, it would be an earth-shaking change. The Void 8 Realms. Void Catastrophe Realm, Void Sovereign 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 Realm, Void World King Realm, Void World Emperor Realm, Void 8 Realms. Next, Longao did not waste any time and absorbed the power refined by Ye Kai's soul. As Long Fu had said, the sacred desolation body that he possessed had almost no bottlenecks, so it was easy for him to break through from peak sovereign to beginner Earthly Venerable rank. In just a few days, his cultivation had broken through from venerable to sovereign, and then to Earthly Venerable. Such a speed of breakthrough was a little abnormal, so abnormal that it was a little ridiculous. If news of this were to spread, one could imagine the consequences it would cause. Longao was also a little surprised. He had never thought that in just a few days, his cultivation would break through one after another, and he would become a middle-level Earthly Venerable rank. Longao was full of confidence. If he were to fight Ye Kai with his current strength, even if he did not use soul attacks, just releasing the aura of heaven and earth, which was the so-called sorrow of heaven and earth, would be enough to obliterate his opponent. Middle-level Earthly Venerable rank. It would be a lie to say that he was not excited. Spirit Region of the 9 States, Level 3 Long Family, Main Hall. Sect Master, I did not find the location of Longao's family, but I received a piece of news regarding Longao. You did not find him? His face suddenly turned cold, but Long Maoan was not angry. He asked in a deep voice, "What news?" Master, before I came back, I received a piece of news. Longao has returned to Dragon Sect, and the Imperial City sent 308 martial artists and a law enforcement Heavenly Venerable to attack Dragon Sect. What's the result? Long Maoan seemed to be a little impatient. After all, if Longao died, it would definitely be good for the Level 3 Long family. Master, the Imperial City Army was completely annihilated, and even the law enforcement Heavenly Venerable was not spared. It seems that Dragon Sect's strength is not that simple. Hearing this news, Long Maoan's face turned gloomier. He said coldly, "Elder, send me 10 law enforcement Heavenly Venerables and a Supreme Venerable. I want to see how powerful Dragon Sect is." Long Yen was startled when he heard this. The 10 law enforcement Heavenly Venerates were nothing, but he knew what a great Venerate Martialist represented. After all, a great Venerate was a very important existence to the 4 great factions. Master. As if knowing what Long Yen wanted to say, Long Maoan waved his hand and said, "Longao must die. Go find little Su for me." Long Yen sighed deeply in his heart. He knew the master's character very well. Once the master had made up his mind, it would be very difficult to change it. Not long after Long Yen left, he walked in with a burly man. This man displayed great strength with every move he made. Just the aura on his body was not something Ye Kai could compare with. Void 8 Realms. The burly man was a foreign elder of the Level 3 Long family. Although his surname was not Long, he had a very high status in the Level 3 Long family. Even the Master Elder treated Su Chen very well. "Master, you're looking for me?" Nodding, Long Maoan's face looked better. He said, "You can leave now. Take 10 law enforcement celestial lords and go to the ordinary spiritual celestial state. Find Longao from the Dragon Sect. Remember, no matter what happens, bring me his head. Master, is it necessary to bring so many law enforcement heavenly venerables to a small Longao? What happened in the imperial city is an example. You must not be careless. Long Yan's expression was dignified and worried. He didn't know why, but he felt that there was something wrong with Longao. As for what was wrong, he couldn't say. If something were to happen to Su Qin, then the Long family would suffer a great loss. Su Qin thought otherwise. He said, Elder, you must be thinking too much. I don't believe that a small Longao can stir up any great waves. I will immediately begin. Half a month from now, I will bring his corpse back. Master and Elder, please rest assured. Long Yan wanted to say something else, but he was stopped by Long Maon. He smiled and said, Very good. As long as you can kill Longao, I will let you experience my domain and help you break into the World King realm. Hearing this, Su Qin was overjoyed. He immediately bowed and left, as if he couldn't wait any longer. After all, the World King realm was the boundary he dreamed of. P.S. Yesterday's 10 chapters have been updated. Next will be today's 10 chapters. Chapter 342. Elder, are you still worried? Long Yan nodded and did not hide anything. He said, Master, I feel that something is amiss. Why don't we investigate it first? Longao must die. Master, the Imperial City and Longao are at odds now. Longao has even slaughtered the Imperial City's army. If nothing goes wrong, the Imperial City will definitely deal with Longao. There is no need for us to do anything. Long Maon knew what Long Yan meant. He waved his hand and said, Longao must be killed by our Long clan. If the Imperial City is one step ahead of us, what will happen to our Long clan's reputation? In the end, it was still the family's reputation. Long Yan did not say anything else. He knew that the family's interests were the most important in front of the master. Nothing could be compared to that. Tianzhou Dragon Sect. Longao, who had just broken through to middle-level earthly venerable rank, did not appear and did not care about the Dragon Sect. Dragon Sect, in a secret room. Long Ming hemmed and hawed, not knowing what to say. After Longao finished listening, his expression was extremely solemn. Long Ming had awakened his inheritance 2 days ago. However, he realized that in order to activate it, he had to obtain a treasure from the 9 Netherworld Tiger clan and the inheritance of his parents' power. Long Ming's business was his business. Could he really not care about it? Long Ming, where is the 9 nether space that you mentioned? Sob, 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 sob. Longao nodded. Of course, he understood what Long Ming meant. In other words, the inheritance he had just obtained was the key to opening the 9 nether space. As long as the power of inheritance was activated, he and Long Ming could enter the 9 nether space. Longao did not want to leave under the current circumstances. After all, the Imperial City and the rank 3 Long family might attack the sect at any time. Hence, he had to be prepared. However, Longao knew that Long Ming's matter was very important. After all, without the inheritance and power, Long Ming's cultivation would not be able to increase. As a result, his and Long Chang's strength would not be able to increase. Now was the time when he needed strength the most. After much consideration, Longao decided to make a trip to the 9 nether space. Big Brother Dugu, Big Brother Patian, I won't be around for a while, so I'll leave the sect in your hands. Remember, defend if you can, and retreat if you can't. As long as we're here, we'll be able to make a comeback in a matter of minutes. Dugu Bai and Long Patian nodded. The two of them weren't fools. They knew very well that if it wasn't for something urgent, the master wouldn't have left. However, they weren't too worried. Don't worry about it. Regardless of whether it's the Imperial City or the level 3 Long family, if they dare to come, we'll activate the heaven and earth formation. I'll make sure they won't be able to return. Heaven and Earth Formation. Longao had already passed down the Heaven and Earth Array formation to the two of them. He believed that any martial artist below the Empyrean realm should be able to deal with it. As for the great sovereigns and world kings that reigned above us supreme, would the Imperial City and the third-level Long family really send them out? It was because of this that Longao felt relieved in handing the dragon sect to the two of them. After a few simple words, Longao and Long Ming arrived at the back mountains of the dragon sect. Long Ming, let's begin. Long Ming nodded. At this time, his body wasn't too large, only around 2 meters in size. But an astonishing strength erupted from his body. Longao felt this strength and knew that this was the so-called strength of inheritance. It was very strong. Immediately after, this power of inheritance enveloped Longao and Long Ming's bodies. With a flash of light, the figures of the man and the tiger completely disappeared. In the next second, the two of them had already entered a dark space. This was a dark space. The entire space was boundless, just like a continent. The air emitted a strange flow of air. Longao didn't dare to breathe it in, because he had no idea what this flow of air was. Beneath his feet, icy cold rocks appeared incomparably smooth. There were mountains everywhere, rising and falling. This was the 9 netherworld space. According to Long Ming's inheritance, Longao knew that there was an independent space within the martial heaven continent known as the 9 netherworld space. There were only spirit beasts here. There were no human cultivators. But it was precisely because of this that this place was even more cruel. You had to be on guard at all times, or you wouldn't even know how you died. The 9 netherworld space had a total of 10 imperial races spirit beasts. The 10 imperial races spirit beasts fought for supremacy all year round. The 9 netherworld earth tiger was one of the 10 imperial races spirit beasts. Back then, for some unknown reason, the other 9 imperial races spirit beasts had joined hands to deal with the 9 netherworld earth tiger race. In a 1 versus 9 situation, the 9 netherworld earth tiger race had been unable to endure and had been exterminated. In other words, there were only a few 9 netherworld earth tigers left in the martial heaven continent. Long Ming was the successor of the 9 netherworld earth tiger race. It was very simple. As long as Long Ming could obtain his parents' inheritance, as well as the 9 netherworld earth tiger race's priceless treasure, he would become the new master of the 9 netherworld earth tiger race. Longao also knew that Long Ming's identity couldn't be leaked. He couldn't let the other 9 imperial races learn of it. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Long Ming, where is your family? Is there a record of it in your inheritance? The 9 netherworld space was too vast. Longao was very clear that if there wasn't a location for the inheritance, then trying to find the 9 netherworld earth tiger race's location in the boundless 9 netherworld space would be like looking for a needle in a haystack. Longao heaved a sigh of relief. If that was the case, things would be much easier to handle. As long as he avoided the spiritual beasts of the 9 great imperial families and went to the 9 netherworld tiger clan, he would be able to find the inheritance of power and treasures. Then, he would immediately leave the 9 netherworld space and everything would be fine. That sounded simple, but doing it was incomparably difficult. There were countless spirit beasts in the 9 netherworld space. Furthermore, the spirit beasts here were the same as the spirit beasts on the Corpse Mountain. They were all exceptionally fierce. Furthermore, there were also the 9 imperial races spirit beasts. If he was unlucky and encountered one of them, it would be troublesome. That was why Longao had the 9 netherworld earth tiger return to the dragon seal space first. That way, even if he was discovered by the 9 imperial race's spirit beasts, he wouldn't be so enraged. Looking around, Longao found it hard to imagine how he could survive in such a vile environment. However, Longao also knew that to be able to survive in such an environment, the strength he had condensed would be terrifying. Now that he had helped Long Ming obtain his inheritance and treasures, he could properly temper himself. If he could break through to the heavenly venerate realm in the 9 netherworld space, wouldn't that be perfect? Chapter 343. In the Nine Nether Space. There were a total of 9 royal spiritual beasts. They were the 9 Abyss Earthly Tiger, Abyss Scorpion, Azure Lion, Blood-Eyed Demonic Ape, Tianshan Bull, Bloodthirsty Human-Faced Spider, Metal Devourer Flying Ant, Hellhound, and Reaper Mantis. The 9 royal families fought openly and covertly to destroy each other and dominate the 9 nether space. However, there was no clear winner after so many years. Among the 9 great royal families, the 9 Abyss Netherworld Tiger clan was publicly acknowledged as the number 1 royal family. Their strength and foundation were extremely powerful, especially the current clan leader who was even more powerful. Left with no other choice, the 8 great royal families could only join forces to eliminate the 9 Abyss Netherworld Tiger clan. Tens of thousands of 9 Abyss Earthly Tigers were slaughtered. In the end, Long Ming's parents used their powerful strength to forcefully open the space and let Long Ming and a servant out. However, they were chased by the spiritual beasts and were rescued by Longao in the end. This was the cause and effect. Longao entered the 9 nether space and was careful all the way. He was very alert, afraid of encountering the spiritual beasts of the 8 royal families. However, what he feared would happen. At dusk the next day, Longao was besieged by a group of spirit beasts. Among them, the spirit beasts of the 4 royal families each had 10 spirit beasts. 40 venerable spirit beasts were staring at Longao covetously. If they were not afraid of the powerful aura emitted from Longao's body, the 4 royal families would have started to attack long ago. Looking coldly at the spiritual beasts around him, Longao knew very well that if he was trapped there, the consequences would be unimaginable once the reinforcements of the 4 royal families arrived. Because of this, Longao did not continue to hesitate and chose to strike first. Although the 40 venerable spiritual beasts were powerful, Longao's strength was not what it used to be. He could kill a middle-level earthly venerable in a second. Longao did not use his blood-sucking wild saber. He began to smash his fists fiercely. All the strength in his body was poured into his arms. The power of the divine dragon arm and the hell tiger arm was not something that a venerable one spirit beast could contend against. The gap between the two was too big. It was a massacre without any suspense. Longao did not even need to use any treasures or martial techniques. Just relying on the power of his arms, he killed all 40 venerable spiritual beasts in a few minutes. His heart was simply excited to the extreme. Longao didn't give up on any of the corpses or souls, because once these corpses and souls were refined into corpse demons, they would come in handy. Whether it was the clan or the dragon sect, it was the time when they needed corpse slaves. "40 venerable one-corpse slaves were not a small number. The 9 nether space itself was a paradise for spirit beasts. The spirit beasts here were incomparably powerful. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Longao had already decided that no matter what, he would kill as many spirit beasts as possible and refine them into corpse slaves. After successfully killing 40 spirit beasts, Longao didn't dare to stay any longer, because he didn't know the strength of the reinforcements sent by the 4 royal families. If they were supreme masters or earthly venerables, he could deal with them. He could even fight against celestial venerables, but what about grand venerables? Although Longao was very confident in his strength, he knew that he was no match for martial artists above grand venerables of the Void 8 realms. There was no doubt about that. According to Longao's instructions, Longao went all the way south. However, the only thing that made Longao feel helpless was that if he wanted to reach the 9 Netherworld Tiger clan, he had to pass by a royal family in all directions. For example, if he wanted to go south, he had to pass by the mountain-splitting Bull clan. If he wanted to go west, he had to pass by the Hell Dog clan. Longao was completely helpless. In other words, no matter where he went, he would have to face the spirit beasts of the 8 royal families. It would be fine if he was outside, but the 9 nether space itself only had spirit beasts. If a human entered the 9 nether space, no matter who he was, he believed that no matter which royal family he was, they would deal with him. Longao knew that it would be a little difficult for him to take Long Ming into the territory of the Nine Netherworld Tiger clan. The 8 royal families of the Nine Nether, the Abyss Scorpion, the Blue Clear Lion, the Blood-Eyed Ape, the Mountain-Splitting Bull, the Bloodthirsty Human-Faced Arachnid, the Metal-Devouring Flying Ant, the Hell Dog clan, and the Reaper Mantis. In the 4 directions of north, south, east, and west, Longao finally chose to continue south, and the place he must pass was the Reaper Mantis clan. According to the records of Long Ming's inheritance, Longao had a rough understanding of the 9 nether space. There were a total of 9 plates, and the 8 royal families each occupied one. The plate of the Reaper Mantis clan was extremely huge, and there were ugly black mantises everywhere. The worst mantis was more than a meter long, and they were densely packed. Not to mention getting close, just looking at them made one's scalp tingle. Longao hid halfway up the mountain, looking at the densely packed black mantises below with a gloomy face. Did he have to force his way in? Longao knew that with his strength, it was not difficult to force his way in. Once he alerted the super powerhouses of the Reaper Mantis clan, he would be in big trouble. Woo 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 woo. Long Ming, I know you are anxious, but we must ensure our safety. Longao was also a little anxious because since entering the 9 nether space, he had heard someone calling him. There was no doubt that it was his parents, the clan leader and his wife of the 9 Netherworld Tiger clan. Clenching his fists tightly, Longao snorted and said, "Anyway, I have already come to this point. I don't believe that I can't break through." Longao didn't want to let Long Ming wait. After all, his parents were killed and his clan was destroyed. He believed that Long Ming couldn't wait to rush to his clan immediately. In this way, Longao finally chose to stake it all on one throw. There were Reaper Mantises everywhere in the Reaper domain, but their strength was on the low side. After all, the powerful Reaper Mantis would not appear here at all. At this moment, someone roared, and then all the Reaper Mantises roared. Human? A human actually appeared in the 9 nether space? All the Reaper Mantises stared at Longao as if they had seen a monster. This was like a duck suddenly running out of a group of chickens. How much shock would this cause to the chickens? Longao didn't hesitate at all. He held the blood-sucking broadsword in his hand and directly swept around wildly. Slash after slash, no Reaper Mantis could escape from the blade. In just a few seconds, Longao beheaded hundreds of Reaper Mantises. The ground was full of corpses, blood flowed like a river, and corpses were everywhere. Seeing this situation, all the Reaper Mantises around were dumbfounded. They were all stunned and didn't know what had happened. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Longao directly killed a bloody path and left at the fastest speed. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. As soon as Longao disappeared, the clan leader of the Reaper Mantis clan suddenly appeared. The huge mantis figure looked at the corpses on the ground with a gloomy face. Without the slightest hesitation, the Reaper Mantis clan leader quickly chased after them. Chapter 344. The Reaper Mantis clan was one of the 8 royal clans. The Reaper Mantis clan patriarch flew through the air and chased after him. The distance between the two was constantly being pulled closer. At this time, a powerful force suddenly erupted from the Reaper Mantis clan patriarch's body, directly suppressing the world. Longao, who was running with all his strength, suddenly felt his body being pressed down by a mountain. His entire body sank down, startling him. Longao certainly knew what this strength meant. World King! He cursed in his heart. Damn it, it's actually a World King! Longao never imagined that the Reaper Mantis clan patriarch would actually be a World King powerhouse. At the 8th level of the void, the World Emperor was a peak existence, a World King. When one's cultivation broke through to the World King realm, the spiritual essence in their body would fuse with their body, forming a brand new power. This power was called a domain. Within their own domain, a world king was invincible. It could be said that once a venerable, supreme, earth venerable, empyrean, and great venerable encountered a world king master, especially one trapped in a domain, it was nearly impossible to escape. If an ordinary earth venerable encountered a domain released by a world king master, only death would await them. But Longao's situation was completely different. With the strength of an earth venerable, he had already condensed the aura of the world. Longao was shocked and didn't dare to be careless. He directly released the terrifying aura of the world domain. The unique power of a world king's domain could completely control any earth venerable, but it couldn't control the aura of the world. It could be said that the aura of the world and the power of a domain were not on the same level. The two could not be compared. One was the sky and the other was the earth. With Longao's current strength, the aura of the world he released was unable to swallow the power of a domain. But if the Reaper Mantis clan patriarch wanted to use the power of a domain to trap Longao, it wouldn't be an easy matter. Aura of the world! Feeling the powerful aura released by the other party and the fact that his domain couldn't trap the other party, the Reaper Mantis clan patriarch was completely frightened. He stared at the other party in a daze. His face was full of doubts, not knowing what was going on. Under normal circumstances, warriors who could condense the aura of heaven and earth were all super powerhouses. However, if the other party was a super powerhouse, why would he run? It was precisely because of this that the Reaper Mantis was a little confused. She did not know what was going on with this person. Nirvana rebirth? Impossible. If this person is truly reborn, he shouldn't be running. Standing there in a daze, the Reaper Mantis patriarch still couldn't figure it out. However, things had already come to this point. In addition to this special situation, the Reaper Mantis still resolutely chased after him. Longao let out a long sigh of relief. He felt as if he had just escaped death. Longao knew very well that if it weren't for the chi of heaven and earth, he would have been trapped by the other party's domain power. It would have been almost impossible for him to escape then. A world king's strength was simply too terrifying. Damn, it's happening again! Feeling the powerful aura behind him, Longao was startled. He didn't need to look back at all. Longao had already guessed who was chasing after him. The Reaper Mantis patriarch was still releasing the domain power. He wanted to test the other party's chi of heaven and earth to see if the other party was really reborn. But at this time, Longao, who was running all the way, suddenly turned around and slashed out with his saber. The shocking saber light came with a momentum like a meteor. He was startled. The Reaper Mantis patriarch never thought that the other party would suddenly attack. Even if he was a world king, if he stood still and was hit, there would only be one result. He would die without a burial place. However, a world king was a world king. The Reaper Mantis patriarch dodged in time, but he still couldn't dodge the attack with his entire body. In any case, the Reaper Mantis's body was too big to dodge. Gotcha! His left shoulder was fiercely slashed by the saber light. The Reaper Mantis patriarch grimaced in pain. His face was furious. As the patriarch of the Reaper Mantis clan and a world king powerhouse, when had he ever been treated like this? If this matter were to spread out, where would his face go? Where would the Reaper Mantis clan's face go? Shameless human, you are courting death! In anger, the Reaper Mantis patriarch didn't continue to be afraid. He didn't care whether the other party was a super powerhouse or not. Anyway, he only had one purpose, and that was to kill the other party. Idiot! Since the saber didn't succeed in killing the Reaper Mantis, Longao didn't dare to stay any longer. He sped up his pace and shot forward. His speed was as fast as a gust of wind, moving with the wind. Under normal circumstances, the difference between the two was so great that their speed couldn't be compared at all. But what was the result? At this time, Longao knew very well that if this continued, he would only be caught by the Reaper Mantis. With no other choice, he directly summoned the Long Chang. A huge black body appeared in midair. Giant dragon? Looking at the giant dragon that suddenly appeared in front of him, the Reaper Mantis stopped abruptly. His face was full of shock because the Dragon Clan was an extremely powerful existence no matter where it was. However, in the 9 secluded space, a giant dragon had never appeared at all. The Reaper Mantis Patriarch really couldn't figure out why a human and a black giant dragon suddenly appeared in the 9 secluded space. Could this person be related to the Dragon Clan? The 8 great royal clans didn't dare to compete with the Dragon Clan at all. If the Dragon Clan came looking for trouble, how could the 9 secluded space resist? The Reaper Mantis looked coldly at the human and dragon who were gradually disappearing, and suddenly said to himself, "If I can successfully seize the soul, I can become a giant dragon. Success or failure depends on this, ha ha ha." The Reaper Mantis Patriarch had decided to kill the black giant dragon and seize the soul to be reborn. Then, he could become a giant dragon. In any case, the giant dragon and the Reaper Mantis were different existences. The two were not on the same level at all. Thinking of this, the Reaper Mantis Patriarch moved faster, but at this time, the figures of Longao and Long Chang had disappeared without a trace. "No matter where you go, I will find you." Longao and Long Chang had already run far away. When Longao didn't feel the aura of the domain, he was really relieved. "Woo woo 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 woo." Hearing the message from Long Ming, Longao was overjoyed because unknowingly, they had already arrived at the territory of the 9 secluded Netherworld Tiger. "Long Ming, where is the base camp of the 9 secluded Netherworld Tiger clan?" At this time, Long Ming's figure had already appeared and pointed to the front left. Then, Long Ming had already rushed out. Longao certainly knew that Long Ming couldn't wait. While following closely, he always paid attention to the surroundings to see if the Reaper Mantis was chasing after them. Chapter 345. The 9 Nether-Earthly Tiger was the leader of the 9 royal families in the 9 Nether dimension. Their strength and foundation were extremely powerful. However, a few years ago, the 8 royal families joined forces to besiege the 9 Nether-Earthly Tiger clan. Under the situation of 1 against 8, the clan leader of the 9 Nether-Earthly Tiger clan could not hold on, and was slaughtered. Only Long Ming was left. Long Ming was a little sad to return to his homeland. Ordinary people would not be able to enter the 9 Nether-Earthly Tiger clan. However, Long Ming was different because the blood of the 9 Nether-Earthly Tiger Emperor flowed in his body. Only blood could open the door. Rumble, rumble. After the huge stone wall merged with Long Ming's blood, the entire stone wall began to make loud noises. The man and the tiger took 2 steps back. At this moment, a stone door suddenly appeared on the stone wall. Overjoyed, Longao and Long Ming quickly entered the stone door. The stone door closed again. It was a simple black passage. It was serene and quiet, giving people a creepy feeling. Long Ming whimpered and rushed out with all his might. He was very fast and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Longao shrugged helplessly and did not stop him. He knew that no one in the 9 Nether-Earthly Tiger clan would hurt Long Ming. Since he was already here, he might as well let Long Ming vent his anger. In the huge space, one cave after another, all of them were interlocked with each other. The entire space was huge. Was this the so-called base camp of the 9 Nether-Earthly Tiger clan? Woo 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 woo. Hearing that Long Ming was calling for him, Longao put away his curiosity and walked up quickly. Then, the man and the tiger walked into the largest cave. After walking for a long time, the man and the tiger came to a huge cave. As soon as they entered, Long Ming started to cry. It turned out that there were 2 huge black tiger corpses at the top of the cave. Without a doubt, Longao had guessed that the 2 corpses opposite him were Long Ming's parents, the clan leader and his wife of the 9 Nether-Earthly Tiger clan. For a full 2 hours, Longao stood quietly and did not go up to disturb Long Ming. "All right, hurry up and accept the inheritance. I don't know why, but I keep having a bad feeling." Although this was the base camp of the 9 Abyss Earthly Tiger, the 9 Abyss earthly tiger had been annihilated. The overlords of this place were the 8 great sovereign families. If the 8 great sovereign families were to appear, things would be troublesome. After a moment of sadness, Long Ming nodded. Of course, he knew what Longao meant. Without any hesitation, Long Ming began to pass on the inheritance, and the power of the inheritance came from the 2 corpses. However, Long Ming was no fool. Naturally, he knew that the supreme treasure of the 9 Abyss Earth Tiger clan was even more important than the inheritance of power. Thus, before passing down the inheritance, he first stored his father's treasure into his body. Only then would he officially begin the inheritance. That bastard really appeared. We were still a step too late. It's not too late. As long as we kill him, the power inheritance, and the treasures of the 9 Abyss Earthly Tiger clan will all belong to us. Ha! The Abyssal Demon Scorpion, Blue Wild Lion, Blood-Eyed Demon Ape, Celestial Mountain Wild Bull, Bloodthirsty Human-Faced Arachnid, Metal-Devouring Flying Ant, Hell Demon Hound, Reaper Mantis, and the 8 great sovereign family patriarchs had all arrived. Without a doubt, the 8 great sovereign family patriarchs were all World King Masters. Of the 8 great sovereign family patriarchs, the Reaper Mantis glared at Longao. She didn't tell the other patriarchs that Longao was able to release the aura of the world. However, the Reaper Mantis very much wanted to obtain the great dragon's body. The Reaper Mantis wasn't an idiot. If she could condense the aura of the world and also become a great dragon, then her strength would increase by 3 times. Just what sort of concept was this? Longao's complexion was gloomy to the extreme. This was truly what he feared the most. With the patriarchs of the 8 great sovereign family patriarchs gathered here, they represented the 8 great world king masters. Let alone the 8 great sovereign family patriarchs joining forces, even if he fought alone he still wouldn't be their match. What should he do? Thinking about it, Longao's complexion became increasingly gloomy. This was because at this time, the power of the 8 great sovereign family patriarchs' domains had already completely covered him and Long Ming. Longao could imagine that once he and Long Ming moved, they would definitely be attacked by the 8 great world kings. Bastard, hand over the treasures and the power of the inheritance, and we can let you live. Otherwise, you will die without a grave. The confidence that the 8 great royal family patriarchs exuded caused them to be extremely arrogant. However, the 8 great royal family patriarchs did indeed have the qualifications to be arrogant. Just based on the strength of the 8 great Void World King experts, even in the Sky Martial continent, they were first-rate super-existences. Long Ming simply ignored the 8 great sovereign family patriarchs. Longao stood in front of Long Ming. If the 8 great sovereign family patriarchs attacked, he would risk his life to protect Long Ming. Longao was very clear that once Long Ming's inheritance was severed, the power of the 9 Netherworld Tiger clan and his father's legend would be completely severed. It would be impossible for him to obtain the inheritance again in the future.